show is about to start in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
He'll be fire on the mountain.
It's time for Inside the Gamecocks, the show. Built by the Barndominium Company, served by Chicken Cock Whiskey, and part of the Chief Sports Network.
Juice Wells, all the way, touchdown Gamecocks.
Pressure, and he just dives in.
Dozier, notice.
Here's J.C. Sherberg, Phil Mullinax, and Jamie Bradford.
All right, greetings and good morning. Welcome aboard and welcome home. Inside the Gamecocks, the show live from the Sinorama Studios and built by the Barndo Co., the barndominiumco.com, where you can build that dream home for as low as $160 per square foot if you live in the Carolinas, if you live in Georgia, or if you live in Tennessee. We're also, of course, served by Chicken Cock Whiskey. Chicken Cock is the finest bourbon that is in my cabinet these days, and I would suggest you find it as well. If you have downloaded the Chief Sports app, there's a link in the Chicken Cock Challenge, and you can find it near you. Chicken Cock Whiskey serving our program, and we sure are glad to have them, especially when you're 2 and 6. Perry Orth is standing by. He'll be in just a moment. Mike Morgan will be in today for a couple of hours, as he is on Tuesdays and Thursdays. We will certainly talk about Bobby Knight, one of the greatest basketball coaches ever, and he passed last night. Difficult to see, no doubt, but he left a legacy that we'll get through. Gamecock Hoops was on the floor last night as well. They did scrape by in an exhibition victory over Wofford. A lot to discuss with that as well. The Fab Five will be up here in just a little bit. We'll make our picks a little bit later. We'll take a drive around the SEC and so on and so forth. JC, JB, and Phil from 11 to 2 here today from the Sinorama Studios. Glad to have JC back. I know Perry's waiting. We'll pop him in here in just a moment. And the Gamecocks, of course, have Jacksonville State for the first time ever. A pair of Gamecocks will be playing each other in college football. Pretty neat stuff there. JC, good to see you.
Good to see you guys. Great to be here today. I like your shirt. It's a straight up Carolina shirt there, Phil, the garnet.
Yes, sir.
So it's really popping today. And JB, it's always nice to see the Meat Church hat. I think the Meat Church hat's as iconic as my socks visor I elected to wear today. So we're all looking snazzy and ready to roll here on a Thursday, man. Had my Tuscaloosa segment, my Nashville segment. Ready to talk some ball. Ready to do it. That Wednesday off thing really rejuvenates me a bit. So I'm fired up. So
good news for you then. Phil and I have decided we're going to be taking Fridays off to rejuvenate me.
I'll just do the whole day, the whole 3 hours myself. That'll be awesome.
Yeah.
Can you imagine by hour 3 what we're sitting here talking about if it's just me? Me and the chat boxers. Hey, guys.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine by hour 1 what you'd be sitting there talking about. 11:05 here. It is day 2 in the month of November. It is crisp and cool outside and beautiful. It feels just like football. And we'll be ready to go on Saturday. Carolina kicks off at noon in Williams-Brice Stadium. Is Perry ready? We got Perry?
Yeah, Let's get things ready here and bring Mr. Orth in.
Gamecock fans, it's time for Inside the Playbook with former Carolina quarterback Perry Orth on Inside the Gamecocks, the show. Part of the Chief Sports Network.
quarterback Perry Orth joins us inside the playbook as he does on Thursdays. Hey, bud.
What's going on, fellas? Appreciate y'all having me on. Ready to talk some ball.
Hey, how's Shannon feeling?
Shannon's good. Dealing with a little. No, it was just common cold. You know, when you go from 80 degrees to 2 days later, it's in the 50s. You're gonna get knocked off your feet a little bit, especially when you're in the third trimester. So we're getting ready to bring on baby O, young little baby girl O. She's coming to Columbia. Hopefully, she's like her mom and gets her mom's height and not mine. And no, we're excited though, man. We're pumped, ready to get her trained up to play some beach volleyball for the Gamecocks in about 18 years.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like
For
that.
those that are unaware, Perry and Shannon expecting a baby on Christmas Day.
Christmas Day.
Oh,
If she gets there one day later, I will share a birthday with her, Perry. So I was 3 hours from being a Christmas baby. So I was 26th. So. Woo! It's a life of combined gifts.
There you go. Yeah, well, that's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping it's before.
Sure.
Now I'm only getting them one set of gifts, right? I'm only getting her one birthday, but other people are going to have to pony up a little bit. So
Yeah, I got you.
yeah, but it's good though, man. No, we're excited. And for those that don't know, my wife played beach volley. She played beach volleyball at South Carolina. She actually played in the ones pair for the majority of her career. She took and really did lead the Gamecocks women's team to 2 NCAA championship appearances in 2016 and 17. And actually, she was on the ones pair that ended up beating number 1 Southern Cal to get them to that level. So she was a hell of a player.
Is she from South Carolina or is she
No,
out of state?
she's actually she's out of state. She's Northern Virginia, just outside of DC.
Oh, nice.
Yep. So we, me being from Jacksonville and her from Virginia, we have found Columbia to be nice and right in the middle between both places. So we ain't going anywhere anytime soon.
Thank God. Thank God for that, because we need you, Perry.
We need you, Perry. Yeah, I was about to say.
We need you. Perry, they're 2-6. Great chance to get back on the winning track this week. And last week, seemed like they might have early in the ball game. Carolina really showed some life defensively, and then there at the end of the first half, it just kind of fell apart. At least that's when I felt like it started falling apart. What did you see there towards the end of the first half? I'm not asking you to question Shane Beamer and the coaching staff necessarily, but could anything have been maybe done a little bit differently to prevent that landslide that they had to endure before they hit halftime?
I think the play that really broke the camel's back there was the 40 some odd touchdown right there at the end of the half. We've got to find a way to stay on the field and just whether go score points or just bleed it to halftime. That really hurt us. And big plays are the name of the game. It is so difficult to drive on opposing teams. And when you give up big plays, especially ones that score, it becomes a struggle for your offense to go out and try to, do the same, especially when you're down a couple skilled players. You don't protect ultra well. And, unfortunately, I think I've mentioned it on the show the last few times, is we're just still not playing complementary football. We're still defense is playing well, offense ain't. Offense is playing well, defense ain't. And for some reason, there's so much about this year's team that reminds me of our 2015 team that I was on, where we're not mirroring one another. And now I think that, this team's got some really great players in some key positions, clearly like the quarterback. But, I think that with Juice and Leggett being, running on, not 100%. It's put us behind the 8 ball. And Mario Anderson's a talented running back. He just hard to run through brick walls each and every run, And now I will say the conference is good this year. You look at Missouri and A&M and Georgia and Tennessee, and man, those are some tough games. Especially when you go on the road to Missouri, turn around, go on the road to Texas A&M, and you were on the road at Georgia and on the road at Tennessee, and Jesus, man, just that's a brutal deal. And but I will say we have played really well at home under Coach Beamer. We've played really well in November under Coach Beamer, and yes, we're 2-6, but can we finish 6-6 and finish 7-6? There's no question about it. The big question is, where is the team? Where is the locker room? Where is everybody's psyche at? Are they fired up to go win 4 in a row and make a bowl? What an awesome, like it sounds bad and it's funny, but what an awesome game leading up to the Clemson game. If both of us were 5-6 getting ready to play that game at Williams-Brice, that place would be freaking electric. It will be regardless, but when you've got, because there's a good chance Clemson's going to be 5-6 going into that game. There's a good chance they'll be 4-7, but there's an opportunity that both teams are 5-6 playing each other for bowl eligibility, which would just make my freaking Thanksgiving weekend to watch those guys duke it out. And we'd beat their ass too. You know it. That would just be that would make the frustrations of this season really, it wouldn't take them all away, but it would certainly be a nice little healing potion for what the team has gone through.
So this weekend, Perry, the 10 through 13 teams will be recognized. You were on the 13 team. Are you going to walk out there on Saturday?
I am going to go out there. I'm working the Letterman's Lounge before the game because I'm on the board of the Letterman's Association, and so I'll already be down there. So I'll pop out and see some old teammates and tell Coach Spurrier appreciate all the ball plays that we're running at Cardinal Newman.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to going out there.
Well, I'm hoping there's some good mojo that comes out of that this weekend. That there's just some magic in the air that drifts over from that era, because one of the things that is most difficult, I think, as we all know, if you've played athletics and played them at a decently high level, is learning how to win. And they're still in those stages, really. If you think about it here, at Carolina, you've got, this is year 3 under Coach Beamer, but there's been a lot of ups and downs over the last couple of years, and you're bringing kids into the portal, and then you're losing kids to the portal, and you've got lots of young guys that are coming into the program, and it just takes time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and if you really think about it, the 10 through 13 seasons, Coach Spurrier got here in November of 2004. Took that long for that group to get going and really kind of find a way to get it figured out. South Carolina just wasn't used to winning at that rate around here, and it all came together. So, this really has nothing to do with what we'll see on the field, Perry, but I'm hoping that there's something that comes from all these guys being back in town and this group seeing whoever's out there, Alshon, Swearinger, Connor, whoever it may be, and that has some type of impact on this program, because they need it right now. They need some confidence. They need some guys to tell them that they believe in them.
Yeah, that's right. And honestly, I could very easily see that being, as corny as that sounds, being something that uplifts them, of, having current players warming up. And I don't know exactly who all is going to be in attendance, but, somebody like a DJ Swearinger to go up to Nick Eamon-Mori and say, hey, big guy, like, keep playing, keep playing your butt off, and, go knock some people out today, or whatever it is that is said. That might be a cool, because Nick grew up watching DJ, right? these kids, especially the ones in South Carolina, grew up watching those guys play in the same uniform on the same field that they're doing now. I remember as a player, now my relationship with Steven is completely different now than it was when I was a player. But no, I remember Garcia reaching out to me as a young player. I was working my way up the depth chart, and he just reached out to me on Twitter and was just asking how practice was going, and just went out of his way to check in on me. And me, as a young high school kid, was watching Spurrier and the Gamecocks turn the corner, was watching Garcia running around, chucking the ball all over the place. And, I grew up in Jacksonville. I'm only 4 hours south of here. So I knew everything of what was going on at South Carolina football, and for him to reach out meant a lot. And, there could be a lot of positive, I know you may have been joking, but there could be a lot of positive from having those guys come back around. And that's, one thing. It's hard as a former player because you get in your routine of life, but it is cool to have former people come back and just be a voice of encouragement, especially when things are not going as well as maybe you'd hope.
Well, I agree with that. And we've heard a lot of these stories around here for a long time. I mean, I know a ton of guys that played with you, obviously, as you well know, and before you. And I think, we've had these conversations, not like on the air in front of cameras or anything, but just in talking. Pat DeMarco will tell you, there were guys when he first got here who would come out and talk to the team or just see them. And it made them realize, as young players, Pat being from Florida, you're being from Florida, you didn't grow up in this state. And so it takes a little while sometimes to, as you just said, as cheesy as this sounds, to realize that, the guy sitting up there in section 305 has been there for 25 years.
Yep.
And he's missing maybe a wedding that day, or maybe he chose to postpone his family vacation until some other time because he didn't want to miss the game or whatever it's going to be. When you mature, you start to realize these things.
Yeah. I'm going to jump in actually, because I just had a thought that I think you guys might actually agree with.
Sure. Yeah.
Is, one thing that might be cool, and especially in today's world, social media is so toxic when it comes to post-game reactions to things. It's just horrible what people say, but there are so many good fans that one thing that I adopted now, I've been done playing for 7 years, and one thing I've personally adopted, because it meant a lot to me, I loved when people said, and they didn't have to say I was good. They didn't have to say, hey, that was a great run against A&M. What I found to be really cool was when people say, hey, man, I remember I really enjoyed watching you play. I don't know why that, for me personally, that like moves the needle, and being like, damn, that's pretty awesome. Mm-hmm. But to have that guy or that lady in 30, in section 15, who's been sitting in row 18 for the last 20 years, wouldn't miss a home game, probably has skipped some pretty important life events to be there in support of you. Now, you're not in debt to the fans. Don't get me wrong. Like, the players are not like they have to leave it all in line because the fans paid money. No, the fans chose to pay. They chose to come. Right. But there's something that if getting a couple just random fans that just love the Gamecocks, right? They're going to be there, whether we're 11-0 or 0-11, getting them to come and share. And that's kind of going on your same path with the players of getting them to share. Like, my family bleeds South Carolina football, right? We love watching you play. The only thing that we as fans ask is that you just give it your all, because we love watching players that give it their all. DJ Swearinger is probably one of the most, if not the most loved Gamecock of all time. Well, why? He didn't lead the program in touchdowns. He wasn't, he didn't run for political office when he got done. People loved him because he was talking hella crap, knocking the shit out of people, and he played the game and he cared about South Carolina football. That's why people love him. And if there is anything that us former players and us or fans listening can do to encourage them and just say, we love watching you go all out. That's what we love. We don't, the great plays are cool, but I love watching, Mario Anderson struggle for 3rd and 1, push it past to get a first down.
Yep.
I like that more than maybe, a deep post. The deep post is really cool for a split second, but that guy, or, I don't know Spencer, but I can't remember what game it was, where he was running out of bounds and kind of turned up and laid his shoulder into somebody. Like, that doesn't hurt as a player, but it shows like the fans, like, dude, Rattler's got a chance to be a high draft pick, but the guy gives a damn. Mm-hmm. And he plays all out, and he encourages his teammate. Like, he will be a legend because of what he did at the end of last season, and still what he has to do the remainder of this season. But he will be remembered as somebody that really had a bad rap coming in here, but has done and been nothing more than an outstanding leader and role model for this program. And I think that's what us fans and us alumni, former players, lettermen, I really enjoy when watching the guys play.
Yeah, I agree. Leave it all out there. You mentioned Mario Anderson. Him and Debo Williams this year are the leave it all out there leaders on this team.
Yeah.
I mean, every time the ball is snapped, Debo's in the area, and if Mario gets it, I echo your comments. I do want to ask you about Nick Harbor too, Perry. It seems like the light's coming on. What have you seen the last couple of weeks out of him?
Yeah, just experience.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the only thing I can relate to is just my own personal life experiences. And I remember my first game was in 2013 against North Carolina. We played them at home. You guys remember it was like 14 billion degrees outside.
Yep.
I personally know like 4 or 5 of my friends that were in fraternities that did not even make it to the game because they passed out from heat exhaustion. Now, the alcohol they were drinking pregame didn't help their cause there, but I remember like watching the hits on the sideline and watching how fast everybody was and how intense it was. And it was like, man, like if I had to play in the game right now, I would be completely lost and probably get hurt. Right. And, Nick Harbor is obviously 14,000 times of a better athlete than I could even dream to be. But there is that mental learning curve that you have to take on as a player. And he's going to continue to get better. He's going to continue to get better week over week to where hopefully by next fall, he can be the premier guy for our team. Imagine his speed and his athletic ability of running good, crisp, clean routes and learning and understanding how to actually get open. That's a nightmare matchup.
Yeah, I know. Bill and I were talking about this yesterday. He's got everything you could dream of. You could see from time to time he does look a little uncomfortable still catching some of those missiles that Rattler's humming in there, but he's hanging on mostly. The Madden game player in every fan wants to see the go route. Why don't we just put him out there and just let him run? Just let him go and throw the ball up there. I don't have the answer to that, but I'll ask you if maybe you do. Is it just that easy? Just shift him out there and just toss the ball up and see what happens?
No, because the guy that's guarding him is probably 6 feet, probably maybe a step slower. The difference between a 4.2 and a 4.4 is like, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of 4.4s out there, brother, in this league. And the other thing he's got to learn is because he is so tall, that can be a disadvantage at times. When you get somebody that is a physical corner and they play with leverage, football is one, especially defensively with leverage. If you have a lower center of gravity and you're still able to play quick with fast twitch movement, they can take big guys like that off the field, which really they have up until recently. And so that goes back to my comment of learning how to run routes, learning how to play the position, learning how to get open. That's where he will excel. But saying, hey, run a 9 route, well, then just play cover 2 or 2-man. Let the 4-4 guy corner trail in his back pocket, put a safety over the top. Guy makes a play on the ball, tip, safety picks. Well, terrible call by the OC, fire, Dow Logan sucks, blah, 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 blah. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so a bit more to it. Now, what you can do is move him around. I love the way Ohio State uses Marvin Harrison Jr. I mean, they've put him in the hip, they've put him in the slot, they've put him outside, they've put him at running back. They've done everything they can to get matchups that they feel like they can win with that guy. And that's something that Nick Harbaugh can absolutely grow into. And I've loved the way that Dow's used him so far. You know, he's used him as a pure receiver. It hasn't been just, hey, run him deep. He has made a couple great contested catches on some deep balls. And I think as fans, we'd love to see more of it to keep it coming. Not maybe more of it throughout the course of a game, but more of it as the season kind of unwinds.
To kind of fill in a little bit on that question about his development, how much does it add that Spencer Rattler's his quarterback? It's not just some guy. You've got
it doesn't hurt. I can assure you that. I mean, that, at the end of the day, that's especially as a coach more than ever. Like, you want to make a different, like, you want to make a run as a team, you better have a dude behind center. And no offense to myself, none taken, but we were not going to win the national championship with me at quarterback. That's just, we weren't going to do it. Now we could have had
wait
a
a second. I thought you were. So.
Yeah, well, no, you're right. I take that back. You're right. No, but
that wasn't your fault. Who do we blame that on? Let's see.
We blame Coach Spurrier for recruiting me.
Oh,
shoot, it's not their fault. It's our fault.
Hey, we'll see Coach Spurrier Coach Spurrier be in town on Saturday. Why don't you tell him like it is?
I mean, I've been a recipient of that joke a handful of times. Yeah, not your fault. Well, get somebody else in there. Who's that? Steve Jr. brought you up here, didn't he? Yeah, we'll get a new coach in there. Oh man, I love that guy.
I read this morning that somebody here in South Carolina did an interview with him, just a Q&A ahead of the weekend, since he'll be here. And you can, how y'all all know exactly what I'm saying. Anytime you read in print something that Coach Spurrier said at Q&A, you're reading it in his voice, and
it's just such a legendary tone. Like, I think about it all the time. I think to myself, and the kids nowadays, they don't like. I coach kids that have no idea who he is, which is crazy, especially to us, right?
Yeah.
Because if they're freshmen in high school, they're 14 years old. So they were 6, 7 years old when he retired. I mean, he's just truly one of a kind. And just, God, you can't underestimate how he was able to see things happen in his head before they happened, and how he could dress things up. And he just, I'd be lying to you if I didn't try to model the way I coach after him. I mean, why shouldn't I? I mean, he's Hall of Fame, right? So,
yep.
I was blessed to be able to play for him for 3 years, and really tried to pick his brain as a young player and understand what he was trying to accomplish. And our coaches at the time really understood what he was trying to accomplish. And man, it just made for some great memories, great stories. And hopefully I get a chance to catch up with him for a minute. I know he's going to get pulled in 95,000 different directions, but definitely I'm going to bring my call sheet from Friday's game out there and be like, hey, see all these plays? I know you know these ones.
Perry, that one there, that's not going on.
When we had our 7-on-7 tournament at South Carolina, we took Cardinal Newman there and got an opportunity to catch up with Coach Beamer while he was out there. And you're allowed, as the offensive play caller during these 7-on-7 tournaments, to kind of stand behind the quarterback. He came up, he's like, hey, what you got on this sheet, man? Let's see it. And he was like, holy cow, I haven't seen Cresser since 2008, talking about when he was here the first time, and looking at some of the play names that we had back then that I utilize now at the high school. And we just had a good time joking about the names of the plays. And the funny thing, I was reading a rant on Twitter with Chris Doring and Garcia, and what made Spurrier so great is that you could go back and watch old games. And I remember in 2015 watching the 96 national championship game, and they had Coach Spurrier was doing the signaling, and you knew the play that was coming. So you talk about sign stealing, but did not change the signals for 25 years.
Yep.
It just is crazy.
I agree. All that Tennessee stuff that came up last week, and I saw people were like, "Wait a second, Spurrier didn't have any problem beating y'all. You knew what was coming. You couldn't stop it." So, last year, you just got your rear end whipped. That's all that happened. You just got your rear end whipped, and that's what it is. Perry,
Yeah.
We got to let you run. Final quick thoughts here, though, on the game this weekend. Anything in particular you'll be paying close attention to, because this is one of 4 consecutive, and they got to have them all to go get into bowl season.
I actually think that we're going to play a really good football game. I think the guys are going to be really excited to be back at home. I think the environment will be sneaky good. Jacksonville State's good, though. Only 2 losses on the year to Coastal and Liberty, which Liberty's undefeated, and we all know Coastal can play. So
number 1 in Conference USA in sacks as well. 30 sacks already this year.
Yeah, that's not good. But we are better. We have better players than they do. Would love to see us play a really good, clean game and handle the game. Win 34-17, 34-21, something like that, and get ready to do something similar. Catch some momentum, into Vandy and then into Kentucky, and that good chance if we beat Vanderbilt, that'll be a night game, and get Williams-Brice rocking to get a 5-6 square off versus the boys from the upstate.
Hope you're right, bud. I sure hope you're right. We will see you next week. I'll try to catch you. I'm bringing my kids to the game this weekend, so I'll try to catch you somewhere. I'll text you on Saturday morning. We'll try to catch you.
I'll be at the Letterman's Lounge before the game if you want to swing by. Me and Shannon will be out there holding down the fort. So,
yeah, that'd be good. The kids would be chilly. They'll want to get inside and have a beer with me, or
Yeah, there you go. Great dad. I'll have to call you on some parenting tips too.
Yeah, absolutely. You don't want those from me. I get yelled at every day, bud. Hey, let me tell you right now, y'all might have the perfect marriage. When them kids come along, it's over. Everything is your fault, and it will never end. Everything is going to be your fault.
That's the best part about playing for Coach Spurrier is everything was my fault, so I just was ready for it,
Yeah, right. Yeah, you were ready for marriage.
Perry,
Talk about life prep. Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you what, Perry, that boy, I don't know why he couldn't catch that ball. You should have thrown it better. All right, man. We'll see you next week.
See ya.
There you go. Be great. Perry Orth. Speaking of Clemson, Carolina, the Palmetto Cocktail pregame party is Friday, Black Friday, November 24th, beginning at 7 o'clock, 4135 Rockbridge Road, and it is proudly presented by our friends Billy G and Billy G's Carolina Barbecue. It is the party of the year. Too Much Sylvia will be playing. They are award-winning, fantastic band in the Midlands if you've never seen them. Barbecue, heavy hors d'oeuvres, drink tickets, and more. There will be a cash bar as well. It's going to be jam-packed. Black Friday, November the 24th, the party of the year, the Palmetto Cocktail pregame party. If you want to buy tickets, we made it really, really easy on you. You just click the Chief Sports app and click the party button. That's all you have to do. Bam, you buy them right there on your phone. You don't have to go searching around. The Palmetto Cocktail pregame party presented by Billy G's Carolina Barbecue. It's 11:35. We will step aside and hang tight. We'll be right back.
Down here in the South, we don't always see eye to eye. While our taste in college football teams, or what sauce, if any, goes best on a rack of ribs, or what to mix with our Dixie vodka might be up for debate, we can all agree there's nothing better than a Southern tailgate. And like our favorite college teams, our ingredients come from small towns and big cities. They're grown in Southern soil, are crafted by Southern hands, and proudly represent the South in our backyard and beyond. So raise a glass of Dixie Southern Vodka to celebrate being made in America and raised in the South.
Welcome to Palm Casual Patio Furniture. Because we are the factory, Palm Casual has the ability to offer the highest quality outdoor furniture paired with world-class service. Since 1979, our factory showrooms have done our best to make the buying process as easy as possible for our customers. Our understanding of the many factors that go into your decision has helped us create our 30-day trial period that increases the level of comfort our customers feel during the shopping experience. Visit us in Somerville and online at palmcasual.com. Gamecock owned and operated.
Michael Campbell arrived at South Carolina in 2003 after growing up in Virginia and was dubbed the Winchester Rifle by Gamecocks great Tommy Moody in the broadcast booth. He left in 2006 a legend, a career .315 hitter and 20th round draft pick of the San Diego Padres. Campbell was first all-time in games played at bats and triples, second all-time in hits with 299 singles and total bases, third all-time in doubles, top 10 in runs scored and RBI, and he hit 31 home runs in his career for the Gamecocks. Now he's passing his knowledge to the next generation through his business, Soup's Swing Shop. If your son or daughter wants to improve their game, Soup's Swing Shop offers virtual lessons. Mike will connect with you, diagnose your swing, and create a special game plan to help improve it. Call him at 859-414-8240. Email soupsswingshop@gmail.com or find them on social media and on the Chief Sports app. Soup's Swing Shop. Play ball.
Welcome home. That's what the Gamecocks say, and so does the Barndo Company, where they can build your dream home starting as low as $160 per square foot. If you live in the Carolinas, Georgia, or Tennessee, their turnkey process takes just 4 to 6 months on average and can be custom designed by size and details. Make your dream a reality. Visit thebarndominiumco.com. That's thebarndominiumco.com. The Barndo Company, Gamecock, owned and operated.
Having some trouble there, Phil? Welcome back. 11:39 Inside the Gamecocks, the show built by the Barndominium Co. JC's back this week. I want to say congratulations to the city of Spartanburg for breaking ground on Fifth Third Park. It is their new state-of-the-art baseball field. It's part of a $500 million retail and housing project, and it's also the new home of the World Series champion Texas Rangers. It'll open in 2025. What timing for the city of Spartanburg. The Rangers just 2 years ago lost over 100 games. They turn around here in 2023 and win the World Series last night. Jordan Montgomery has a World Series ring, former Gamecock left-handed pitcher, and who ran it up everybody's rear end around here when he was at South Carolina, has done it in the big leagues as well. He's a world champ after the series clinching victory last night, 4-1. And Christian Walker goes down without winning it, but it was great to see two Gamecocks playing against each other in the World Series. But, JC, I know that you're from Spartanburg, so this is a really neat thing for that entire community. So congratulations to the Rangers, congratulations to Jordan Montgomery, and congratulations to the city of Spartanburg.
Heck yeah, the hometown. Woo! Beautiful ballpark design too. If it looks anything close to the renderings, that's and I know where the land is. Unfortunately, I had to go to a funeral in Spartanburg in February, and we stayed at that it's called the A Hotel. It's a Marriott property right there in downtown, and the lot behind the hotel, there used to be a my dad played football with Bruce Gilbert. Long story here, and he had Gilbert Shoes, which is right across the street, and then there was a park or some kind of industrial. I mean, it really was an unsightly part of downtown, and now that's going to be just awesome where they're developing that thing. And Spartanburg's almost unrecognizable to me. The downtown part is because when I was growing up, everybody had kind of moved either to stayed on the east side or moved to the west side, and that was when Dorman and that part of town ascended the Westgate Mall area and all that good stuff. The west side of Spartanburg, downtown was sort of desolate, but now, man, it's a renaissance, quite frankly, in downtown Spartanburg. And this ballpark is going to be awesome. I maybe fingers crossed the Clemson Carolina series rotates in there 1 year or something. Maybe don't keep all the goodness for those Greenville boys. Let the Berg have a shot at the rotation or for the neutral site game. I'd be in favor of that. It's and downtown Spartanburg. It's not downtown Greenville yet, but there's enough bars, restaurants, hotels, and stuff. I think that people could go to downtown and have a good time at the ballpark now. So proud of the hometown and proud of everybody involved, and I hope to see this development come together nicely, and just proud of the hometown at this point.
Yeah, I think it's neat. I agree with you. I think that this Carolina Clemson game or series will probably play there. It's brand new. That's going to be very appealing and attractive to both administrations. And you know dang well that they're going to want to show this ballpark off to more than just the fine folks of Spartanburg. So they're going to probably want to try to get that game there. So they'll bid on it and they'll probably win it. Unlike the city of Charleston, who just shorts themselves out all the time and doesn't care about anybody else. That's for another day. So, you know, I mean, it's kind of ridiculous. You know, you have a chance to bring this game down here, and then they just lollygag around and live off the River Dogs. Got news for them. Nobody cares about the River Dogs. They just care about $2 or $1 beers on Thursdays. That's all.
Bill Murray cares about the River Dogs, or is
nobody else does.
$1 beer guy.
He cares about the money that the River Dogs bring in. That's what he cares about.
Yeah,
we all know that minor league baseball is all about marketing. But that's and
it's
day.
and like,
but the ballpark
downtown
looks
Spartanburg
beautiful,
too. I mean, people
JC.
don't understand this. Yeah, and Spartanburg has more colleges than Greenville. I mean, you have Division I Wofford.
Yeah,
there
I
you
Spartanburg
USC Upstate,
SMC.
And SMC. That's a. I bet you had a fun. I've had some fun times at SMC back in the day, boy. Woo,
I remember when we all got to Carolina. You know, Crispy and Harley, Will Kish, Godwin, all of us. We were like, we made it. We got out.
Got out of University
about it.
University of Unisaxon back there, but it's and Converse has women's sports, obviously, but Spartanburg, good high school ball and stuff in the county. I think it's kind of neat, man. I love concerts there too. I mean, it's
well, downtown Spartanburg has really come a long way.
If I had to move back, I would consider living in downtown Spartanburg. I mean,
sure.
I would. It's probably not where we're going to end up because, you can't go home again, so to speak. But I would probably choose it over Greenville just because Greenville's so crowded now. Spartanburg's kind of a nice little oasis. So.
Yeah, it's the Berg, but it is a neat. It's neat how it's all unfolded down there. Hats off to them. That entire area deserves it. Hats off to them. The Fab Five Challenge is up, by the way, everybody. If you have the app pulled up, just click the Salsarita's Fab Five Challenge. We do have a winner. We'll wait on Mike to announce the winner from last week. Here he'll be in about 15 minutes. We will take our drive around the SEC with him, and then also, of course, play this week's Fab Five. Guys, Rich Rodriguez was asked about the Gamecocks, and I'm not sure. I'm not sure if there's been a coach who's been as complimentary as Rich Rod. I'm going to read this word for word here. It's off the desk of the great Alex Jones with the Big Spur. Here's what Rich Rod had to say. I don't think it's even close on both sides of the ball. They're the most talented team we've played since I've been here. They're up 14-3 on the defending national champions in Georgia. Everyone knows how good they are. They lost a close one to Florida. They lost a couple of other close ones. They are better than their record. That's pretty high praise for Rich Rodriguez of course, he's not going to want to, he's not smart. I mean, he's not dumb. He's smarter than that. Sorry, Rich. He's not dumb. He's smarter than that. I don't think he wants to poke a bear that's been apparently sleeping the last month, right? They're looking at this month as their turnaround. So he probably doesn't want to say anything that's really going to get their feathers ruffled. But those are pretty interesting comments from the guy who's going to be coaching against them this weekend. He also, by the way, went on to say, when he was asked about the offensive line and its struggles, he goes, yeah, well, all those guys are SEC recruited. And the string guys, they're SEC recruited. And guess what? They're third string guys, the guys that we would probably try to recruit and can't get, they're SEC recruited as well. So pretty high praise for Rich Rodriguez, who once told everybody that he turned this job down.
What his athletic director did. But yeah, that's it. And I think that's the guy that's at Alabama now, that athletic director. But yeah, that night was interesting because I had already broken the news. Will Muschamp had gotten the job, I phrased it like barring something crazy. They're getting the job because I have a pretty good source on this, right? And so,
JC,
and what
you mean to tell me that you're not like some of the other wannabe reporters out there who say, unless something changes, this guy's going to be the next job, and it's never that guy. Well, I told you, unless something changes, it changed. That's why he didn't.
Obviously, something changed.
But
I had good information. It must have changed.
The thing is, you got to say what changed. You can't just say, "Oh, something must have changed." You know, my God, Well, what changed? That's how you do it. Or I don't think I phrased it quite like that. I said, barring something crazy happening.
Oh, I'm just picking with you, man.
Due diligence,
Yeah. No, I'm just picking with you.
The point is, by the time Ray Tanner interviewed, Rich Rodriguez, Willie Taggart, who else? Chiano got an interview. The job, it was a done deal. Muschamp was coming, and Tanner just kind of rapid fired these interviews. Now, if you ask me, had Muschamp passed on the job and elected to remain at Auburn and kind of bide his time a little bit, who would have gotten it at that point? Probably Rich Rodriguez. Just to be perfectly honest, he had a really good interview with Coach Tanner, and by that point, you're kind of, honestly, of the ones, the names that we knew interviewed, probably Rich Rod, Troy Calhoun, or Chiano would have been, the better pick out of those three. I probably would not have gone Willie Taggart. Of course, you could have gone Lincoln Riley at the time, but I'm just not sure that would have worked out either. So, I don't know that any of these guys would have worked out, but if you're asking me at that point, by the end, had Will had a change of heart, it would have been Rich Rod, but he didn't turn it down. He wasn't offered the job. It's just, I guess that's just one of those things. But yeah, he was very complimentary, and I think he's doing a little bit of Lou Holtzing there, to be honest, because he's got a good football team and they got good athletes. And they match up schematically. I think they're problematic. Schematics are problematic. How about that? For how they match up with the Gamecocks. That offense is tough, and then their defense, they'll literally blitz from anywhere. Salty, and they're very disruptive.
Yeah, they're salty. By the way, he had a pretty good career at Arizona. I know he had some off-field issues that led to him getting let go, but he had a pretty good. It's very like South Carolina. It's kind of a hard place to win, and he took those guys to 10 wins in his third year out there, and they were kind of on the mend after that 3-9 season, and then all the stuff kind of came out. But he is 16-4 at Jacksonville State, and you said it. Their defense and all those guys are pretty good. So
you ever think about this? If Rich Rod, number one, regrets not taking Alabama.
I'm sure he does.
Remember, he turned it down. It was one of those where it was a barring something unforeseen. Rich Rod's the next coach at Bama, and then he took 24 hours to kind of. It wasn't quite a Bobby Crimmins, but it was kind of a half Crimmins, if you will. He gave it a half Crimmins, and he changed his mind and stayed. And then the second Rich Rod regret probably would be the triple R, if you will, the Rich Rod regret, is probably leaving West Virginia. And because he had that thing absolutely rolling, and then went to Michigan and just wasn't a fit. And
they were 32-5 at one point in time under him those last 3 years before he went to Michigan, and that's probably the real regret, JC.
Not staying at West Virginia, because that was his alma mater, his home state. He's a West Virginian, like a lot of coaches are. A lot of coaches come out of West Virginia, starting with the Bowdens. But he
Saban,
Jimbo Fisher's a West Virginia guy. Mm-hmm. But that just sometimes that sometimes you see the shiny new object, and that's one of the things I appreciate about Steve Spurrier. You know, he had some opportunities to leave South Carolina quickly and go to places like, you know, Miami or Alabama or Auburn, and never did, because I think he realized that, you know, sometimes those bigger jobs, even though there's more resources, if you're not a fit, you know, it could end ugly for you. And sometimes it's best to just stay where you're appreciated and loved, right?
Yeah, I agree. Paul Johnson. That can't be. Oh, okay. Sorry, I was thinking the Paul Johnson, formerly of
Georgia Tech.
Yeah, he's not from
Tech,
West Virginia. Well, when you said that, I decided, well, let me go Google. It's funny when you type in college football coaches from, Google automatically fills it out with West Virginia. So this must be a popular Google, but it said Paul Johnson, but that's not the same Paul Johnson. This cat was born in 1985, and he's coaching at Chowan University. So don't think that's him. But yeah, I just wanted to see. I mean, we've already named all the popular names. John McKay is from West Virginia. John McKay, former Southern Cal head coach.
Yeah, Southern Cal, led Tampa Bay Bucks.
Yep.
Ofer coach, with Spurrier quarterback. Yeah,
he sure did. But he's from West Virginia. Doc Holliday.
Yeah, Doc was at Marshall for a long time.
Yeah.
One of the really, Doc was a good head coach there. I don't know, it just kind of petered out, but like a lot of situations. But he's also an outstanding assistant coach and recruiter. One of the best to recruit South Florida ever. He was at Florida under Urban and got a lot of guys ready to roll.
Current App State head coach Sean Clark is from Charleston, West Virginia. Didn't realize that. He's having a tough year, and they're all over him, but he's from Charleston, West Virginia. So
I said the Bowdens were from West Virginia. I was mistaken about that.
Terry and Tommy
are, but Bobby's from Alabama, but he coached at West Virginia, therefore they're all kind of West Virginia rooted.
We'll call them West Virginia boys. Yeah. It's a really neat. Tony Gibson, who's the current defensive coordinator at NC State, he is from Van, West Virginia. I had no idea where Van, West Virginia is.
Lou Holtz is from East Liverpool, Ohio, which is right across the river from West Virginia. So he may as well be.
I don't think they claim Lou, though.
Yeah, well, they can't because he's from Ohio, but it's just right across the river, right? I just can walk over the bridge and become a West Virginian if I want to. But we're more physical on this side of the river from Ohio. My son Skip.
Yeah, it's old Lou. He's reemerged lately in the news from time to time. You see him here and there.
I felt so bad. Like, it was his wife finally. She passed away a couple of years ago. Beth did, and that was. I really was kind of worried because the one thing you did know about Lou Holtz was he and his wife are really close and tight, and you kind of worried about the guy, a little bit, because there was all that issue with her health that way back when they were even at Carolina and Notre Dame, and she survived a long time, and he always talked about that. And but he's still out there. I think he's on some podcast with Mark Jones still. They do a streaming show.
I think he does.
Let's get them on the Chief app, man.
Yeah, we should.
Lou Holtz.
Reach out.
I'm just going to tell you right now to download the Chief Sports app. My friends Jamie and Phil and JC and Mike Morgan from the University of South Carolina, play-by-play.
We'll get Brewer to call in for us. Ryan talks to him.
He's got there's some good. There's much better Lou Holtz impersonations than me, but mine's getting there though. It used to not be that good. I used to be a really good Spurrier. Now I do James Bates's Spurrier impersonation is so wonky and funny and weird that I find myself mimicking it rather than how Spurrier actually talks.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, because Batesy, hey, a little more high pitched. Oh shoot! But instead of real spirit. But anyway, that's my thing.
It is time for a timeout. The national anthem at noon is up next. Mike Morgan will follow. We were powered by Electric Bikes of Charleston, electricbikescharleston.com. Put something sweet and fast under the Christmas tree this year. You can even fold it up and wrap it. You need to. electricbikescharleston.com for more information. And thanks to those who have been buying from them for a while now. It means a lot to support our partners who have fantastic products. It's the holidays. Don't forget. Vol Steak, we let you back in, bud.
Yeah.
We let you back in. We're going to make you a good part of this
time.
show here for the next 2 hours.
That's right. Let's have some
All
fun.
right. Bend over and we'll show you. Okay. We'll be right back.
Down here in the South, we don't always see eye to eye. While our taste in college football teams, or what sauce, if any, goes best on a rack of ribs, or what to mix with our Dixie vodka might be up for debate, we can all agree there's nothing better than a Southern tailgate. And like our favorite college teams, our ingredients come from small towns and big cities. They're grown in Southern soil, are crafted by Southern hands, and proudly represent the South in our backyard and beyond. So raise a glass of Dixie Southern Vodka to celebrate being made in America and raised in the South.
Welcome to Palm Casual Patio Furniture. Because we are the factory, Palm Casual has the ability to offer the highest quality outdoor furniture paired with world-class service. Since 1979, our factory showrooms have done our best to make the buying process as easy as possible for our customers. Our understanding of the many factors that go into your decision has helped us create our 30-day trial period that increases the level of comfort our customers feel during the shopping experience. Visit us in Somerville and online at palmcasual.com. Gamecock owned and operated.
Michael Campbell arrived at South Carolina in 2003 after growing up in Virginia and was dubbed the Winchester Rifle by Gamecocks great Tommy Moody in the broadcast booth. He left in 2006 a legend, a career .315 hitter and 20th round draft pick of the San Diego Padres. Campbell was first all-time in games played at bats and triples, second all-time in hits with 299, singles and total bases, third all-time in doubles, top 10 in runs scored and RBI, and he hit 31 home runs in his career for the Gamecocks. Now he's passing his knowledge to the next generation through his business, Soup's Swing Shop. If your son or daughter wants to improve their game, Soup's Swing Shop offers virtual lessons. Mike will connect with you, diagnose your swing, and create a special game plan to help improve it. Call him at 859-414-8240. Email soupsswingshop@gmail.com or find them on social media and on the Chief Sports app. Soup's Swing Shop. Play ball.
Welcome home. That's what the Gamecocks say, and so does the Barndo Company, where they can build your dream home starting as low as $160 per square foot. If you live in the Carolinas, Georgia, or Tennessee, their turnkey process takes just 4 to 6 months on average and can be custom designed by size and details. Make your dream a reality. Visit thebarndominiumco.com. That's thebarndominiumco.com. The Barndo Company, Gamecock owned and operated.
12:02 p.m. Welcome back inside the Gamecocks, the show built by the Barndo Co. and served by our friends at Chicken Cock Whiskey. Here is a toast to all of those who serve our country, and the national anthem at noon daily now on ITG, brought to you by Billy G's Carolina Barbecue. Again, you can RSVP and buy your tickets in the Chief Sports app for the Palmetto Cocktail pregame party coming up on Friday, November the 24th. This will sell out. I would highly suggest you go ahead and pay the $50 for the dancing, the food, the hors d'oeuvres, the drinks, and the fun. Right? Did I miss anything? No. Hors d'oeuvres. I got hors d'oeuvres right. Did y'all ever see Four Christmases with Reese Witherspoon and Vince Vaughn?
I did.
Right?
Yes.
Remember, Mike? Hors d'oeuvres, anyone?
Oh,
Remember
yeah. Yeah. That was the what's his the McGraw.
Tim McGraw.
Right? Who was also the dad in Friday Night Lights.
Yes.
For my money, as good a football movie as there's been. Love the book. Love the movie. And he plays just like this awful, awful father in that movie.
Oh, terrible.
Just awful human
Got
being.
to fight on the field with going out of the field with not his kid down to the ground.
Yeah. Remember, he's all upset. His kid had the bad game, the fumble. He had a fumbling problem. I used to have that problem. I just think about baseball. And the dad pulls over and like. JC got that. A little naked gun coming at you. He threw the ring, his own championship ring from was it Permian High School?
Yeah.
Into the field, and his son's like, "What are you doing, Dad?" And his dad's like, screw everything. You know, he's just like an awful. But there are fathers like that. I've seen them. I had a friend that I played football and basketball with for a good portion of my childhood, who had that dad. And his dad was just like, you're going to be a D1 athlete if I have to wring your neck to do it. And it was so uncomfortable, so awkward, you just felt so bad for this kid, you wanted to just punch his dad. It's the first time I've ever seen a dad like that, but I know there's plenty of them out there.
Oh, at kid school here in Lockport, there were these two brothers that played, and they were tall, and that's just about it. One was a quarterback, one was a tight end, and their dad. You walk by him and he's standing next to the fence, not sitting down, and you could just smell the daggum old style and vodka coming out of his pores. It was one of those August games. He's just cussing and ranting and raving, and man, and I'm like, look, your kids are trying hard. They're at least tall. You're on a state championship winning team. You're one of them's the quarterback. Just shut up. He's not going to be Drew Bledsoe. It doesn't have that kind of feet. I'm sorry, cement shoes. He can't help it. It's hard too because like Moose, my stepson plays ball, and what I want to say to him a lot of times, I do not. Because I understand like when you see him low for, it's like the last person in the huddle, and they're not trying as hard as you maybe would have liked. When you have pride like that, you don't want the kid to like embarrass. You feel like he's embarrassing himself. Yeah. I don't think I'd ever go as far as the Tim McGraw character, though. I mean, I'm not having those types of thoughts. But it's really, you really just want to say, look, if you're not going to try hard, just quit. Literally, that's because sometimes what I want to tell people. If you're not going to hustle, just quit. Why are you wasting your time? But I never say that. So, and I see Nats in the chat box. So I'm probably in trouble now.
Oh, I say that. I don't. Yeah, I go out. That's one message I am not afraid to tell my daughters when they do it.
Yeah,
you're not going to go out there and give your everything. Then you just need to not sign up next year.
Yeah, it's like, just quit. It's a waste of everybody's time.
No, don't quit, because now our team's counting on us at this point. There is no midseason quitting, and if you're going to go out there, you're going to at least give your all. I don't care if you're good. I don't care if you're bad, but I want to see you trying. And if you stop trying, I'm going to be mad.
I like to think that's our motto here on Inside the Gamecocks.
Yeah, if you're not going to give it all, just
if you're not giving 100%, we'll just get rid of one of those boxes and we'll put you out of there.
Hey,
the bench is right here. The bench is always my weapon.
If we had the other team if we covered the other team in the state, we could say, "Keep your filthy hands off my rock. If you're not going to give the effort, keep your filthy hands off my rock." And then they have the tiger roar. Keep your filthy hands off my rock. Oh, you don't respect this Clemson now. Come on, what's the Tyler? Come on.
Is that Carl from Spartanburg?
That's Carl, Tyler's cousin.
Yeah, Tyler's cousin.
Me and my cousin. They call the Tiger Tailgate Show. Yeah, we're about, me and Tyler about 15 minutes. We'll be in the valley shortly.
Did you guys hear Phil Kornblut had a funny at the press conference the other day.
I heard. It's awesome.
A proud member of the Chief Sports Network.
Absolutely.
Dabo Sweeney was asking the media, "What are you guys going to be for Halloween?" And Kornblut goes, "Tyler from Spartanburg." Even Dabo had a laugh at that. That was a pretty classic line.
Hey, you know what?
I got to give it to Phil.
I think over the years, Larry Williams at Clemson has really not been the Larry Williams that he once was as far as a writer goes. But he really did write a good article yesterday. He spoke with Tyler from Spartanburg.
I got to give him credit for that. I'm not a fan, but I'm a fan of that piece. I thought that was awesome.
Yeah.
So what's his story? First of all, how old is Tyler from Spartanburg?
He's 31 or something. JC, he's a U.S. Marine who was just honorably discharged, and he. Look, this is what he said, but what he clearly could be, I guess, lying to Larry Williams. But he was like, "Look, I was probably a little disrespectful in how I said it, but I feel like I've seen a change in him over the last few years. He's got this contract. He doesn't utilize the thing. I mean, he says the stuff we talk about. He's like, he doesn't utilize the portal. He doesn't seem to embrace NIL." These are all the things it takes to win today. And I've just felt like he's, not the same Dabo that I once knew. I love him and appreciate him, but I don't think he's the guy that once coached here, basically. And he was like, so I figured I'd call him and ask him. He's like, I probably shouldn't have said it the way I said it, but, and he was like, he called me a kid, and that was a little disrespectful because I've gone to every Clemson game my whole life since long before he was here. He's like, I'm not, I'm a U.S. Marine. I was up watching their games, overseas while they were winning national championships, fighting for our country. I mean, it was interesting.
Well, like I said, as someone who's hosted a lot of those shows over the years, that's the most entertaining thing to come out of a coach's show in a long time. So I'm here for it. I'm here for Tyler being able to get past the call screener and not have him get cut off for that entire diatribe, which is a miracle. And I guarantee you somebody got reamed over that. And I'm here for Dabo doing what all coaches want to do but feel like they can't do. Look, he let it rain. Like he got it all out there. It was therapeutic. I understand it.
Yeah, it was. You look back on it, it would have also been very easy for him to say, "Thanks for the call, Tyler," and just move on. But he didn't do that. So.
No, well, I mean, I sense in your voice there that you think Dabo kind of showed his rear end, and I know a lot of people feel that way. But I like I said, I'm okay with it because at the end of the day, that's how coaches feel. There's plenty of Carolina coaches I know for a fact that when they were getting grilled by fans, some of them would turn around and go blank you. Okay, I won't name names, but I can
tell you exactly one of them.
I've been there for a couple of them, and the rest of them when I would do interviews in public, or when we go to a commercial break during one of those coaches' shows, and someone was a little bit critical, not quite as personal as Tyler from Spartanburg. But certainly critical. They'd be like, this SOB, who the hell does he think? Do they know how hard it is to win here? Have you noticed what's happened in the previous 100 years around? Like, I've been there. Yeah. Been there, done that. So all Dabo did was actually vocalize what most of these coaches say when they're not in front of a microphone on a coach's show. Now, did he have to go as far as he did? No. But neither did good old Tyler from Spartanburg. That's what makes it so entertaining. When's the last time anybody talked about a caller on a coach's show? Every school has them.
No, yeah. I'll tell you when it was. It was a few years ago when Coach Muschamp got the call about being the thief. from what was that guy's
Ski
name?
mask.
JC?
The ski
Yeah.
mask. That's because Steve from Sumter.
Steve
From Sumter.
Who
Yeah,
asked
and
him a question if he was wearing a ski mask because he was stealing everybody's money.
and he
that's
asked
pretty
Beamer.
good.
He struck again with Beamer and Marcus Satterfield last year. He's like,
Yeah?
is Marcus Satterfield wearing a ski mask when he cashes his check? Todd and those guys cut him off. Last time when it got to when it was Beamer's time, Todd jumped in and was like, no, we're not going to do that here. You know. I love it. Like if John Whittle is ever on call-in show duty on thebigspur.com, it's worth a read for those of you that are members because he reports everything. It's just a stream of conscience. It's like Todd's back now. He's telling you to go to Bloomingdale's to buy this and that and the other. And Shane agrees that's the best place to have hot dogs in Columbia.
Yeah.
All right. So now Steve from Sumter calls in, and then there's a long. And he's like, and then there's a long pause.
Yep.
Turn down your phone, Steve. You know,
That's hilarious.
and it just reads like live. It's like an oral history of the call-in show. It's only Whittle does it. I mean, Hale and Alex also do it sometimes, but on Whittle when he does it, it's classic.
He's a bear for detail. That John Whittle.
Oh my God,
bear for detail.
And if you know him, it's even funnier because that's kind of his sense of humor. You know, and he's just sitting there sarcastic as hell. I mean, anyway. Just check that. That's a shameless plug for Whittle's. If he's doing the call-in show tonight, you definitely want to. It's a nice read. I'll just say that.
Well, in an easy transition here, there's one coach who I don't think anybody would have the kahunas to make that telephone call to, and it's the great Bobby Knight who passed away last night at the age of 83. Mike, you're a big hoops guy. I know that. I have
my backdrop, right?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I do.
That is after a Gamecock game.
Like how
Bobby
did you
Knight
prop
broadcasted.
yourself in like that so well? I don't.
Yeah,
understand
exactly.
that.
Well, if I was much better, if
what-
I was technically savvy as you are, this would have worked a lot better. Where I'm not blocking the general, and I'm here like for those that are just listening. I've got a picture of me and Bobby Knight after he broadcasted a Gamecock game on TV. I did it on radio, and
That's when he was at ESPN, right?
that's when he was at ESPN, and so I'm trying to get out of the way, and so I'm not blocking him. I don't care if I block me, but anyway.
If I'm not mistaken, I remember the game. It was Tennessee at home in Horn's first year.
Damn, you
And
got a good memory. I think that's
Tennessee-
right.
Well, because I remember he came out to football practice that day because Carolina was working a bowl practice. No, yeah, was it spring
He did.
practice?
He
Spring
went out
practice.
and talked to the
It
team.
it was spring practice because it was a March game.
Yeah. Yep.
Carolina
You know what?
ended up
Stephen
getting blown
Garcia-
away.
Stephen Garcia posted a picture of that yesterday.
Yeah, when the general came out and talked. So that was because that was a significant game because South Carolina, that probably if they'd have been able to beat that team, I think Bruce Pearl was the coach at Tennessee then. They probably would have gone to the NCAA tournament that year. But that was a fun team to watch for a number of reasons in Horn's first year. And I was living in Columbia at the time. I went to just about every home basketball game, and I remember him sitting across and watching him at the table. So yeah, I've always liked the guy. I've always thought, as sociopathic as he was at times, that he did more good for the sport and for his players than a lot of coaches could do.
By the way, I just ran into the great Darren Horn doing the Kentucky game last Friday night. At halftime, I'm in the bathroom, and old Darren rolls in. Jimmy Dykes and I are just chatting, waiting in line, and there's Darren. Says, "Hey, Jimmy. Hey, Mike," because his son is a walk-on at Kentucky. Don't know if he. So, and of course, Darren's the coach at Northern Kentucky. It is surreal.
They finally made the tournament the Norse. They finally made it this past year, right? Or did they lose in the conference?
I think so. Yeah,
they've been knocking on the door. They've been knocking.
Yeah,
on the
he's
door.
got one tournament under his belt, and honestly, that's a perfect job for Darren. And I say this with all due respect to Darren Horn. Like Darren Horn was not ready for the South Carolina job. It just wasn't. That was a terrible reach by Eric Hyman with so many other better candidates on the board. But that's who he went with. and he got him for like $600,000 when everybody else is paying more than double that. That was a huge kind of nexus of where Gamecock basketball was going to go, because that was not a rebuild. Say what you want about Dave Odom, he left a lot of talent on that roster, and Darren Horn benefited from that early with guys like Downey and Frederick and Holmes and Muldrow and Benulis, and then when it came to Darren's players, he convinced Bruce Ellington not to play football, and then he just played like pickup YMCA ball and took a bunch of terrible shots, and they looked like they were running the offense at the A court at the YMCA downtown in the old days back in Columbia. But that was a major, like the basketball program did not recover from that for a while, because then Frank inherited a mess. It was a true mess. It was like a mutiny when Darren left, and there's a lot of different let's just say takes on how that all went down. And so Frank truly had 2 years of just absolute slop of a roster. Nobody was going to win the first 2 years that Frank had the job. And the rest, as they say, is history. But yeah, one thing on Bobby Knight. Bobby Knight's a complicated guy. I grew up, I played 7 years of basketball with a kid who's from Indiana who eventually played D1 at FAU, the Final Four FAU. On the mean streets of Boca. And he was a really good friend of mine. And again, we played in a lot of camps together. I almost went to the Bobby Knight camp. And this is not one of those like you pay $50 and you get a T-shirt. This is one of those where you have to be selected. You don't just get to go. And me and him at the time were the two freshmen that were selected that we could go. I didn't go for a number of reasons. He did go, and he was a Bobby Knight fanatic. But when I remember when the whole Neil Reed thing happened, the choking incident and some other things, I said, Mike, you're the biggest Bobby Knight fan I know. You're from Indiana. What do you think of all this? Because I was doing talk shows about it, some of the most polarizing shows I did, including one in Columbia, where when the subject of Bob Knight came up, because then it became cultural and old school, new school, and all that stuff. He said, Mike, enough is enough. I don't support him anymore. I love him and I respect him, but it's enough. And I was like, wow, this kid who grew up on Indiana basketball, who idolized, Bobby Knight was a god in that household. Mm-hmm. But and that's the thing, like Bobby was just, there's nothing simple about that story to be told. And there's been other coaches that cross the line or overly disciplined, what have you, and that definitely is a more old school way of coaching. But Bobby took it to an extreme. He really, really did. And it's unfortunate because he's a brilliant coach. Absolutely. And he did it clean. He didn't cheat. Even in the day and age where people were cheating, way before NIL, we know players were getting bought left and right. He didn't do that. He didn't play that game. His attitude was, you give me commensurate talent and I will beat you. And more often than not, he did.
Yeah, you're right. Complicated is a great word to describe him. Complicated or not, he's, as you just pointed out, still one of the best coaches in the history of college athletics, period, all sports combined. I love the story about when he threw the chair, that he did have a good sense of humor, Mike. We were talking about John's sense of humor a little bit ago. As mean as he could be, you knew he had that dry sense of humor in there, and you better get it when he says it or it's going to fly by, right? It's over. Mm-hmm. One of those type people. And I remember there was an interview. I'm not sure if anybody ever heard it. I tried to find it. I couldn't find it. But the interview, they asked him about throwing the chair. He said, I didn't throw the chair. There was a little old lady on the other side of the floor who needed a seat to sit down. And so I, gave her one, basically.
I mean, you're a little younger than us, Jamie, mm-hmm. but like, I remember, I think I was in like the 5th or 6th grade and playing some level of basketball. And when that happened, I remember coming home and my father telling me about the Bobby Knight chair incident. And for a kid, that was so hard to process. But it was huge news.
Right.
It was the biggest news in sports when he throws the chair across the court. The absolute biggest story out there, and it lasted for a long, long time. And of course, it never left his overall legacy. But that was, golly, when that thing happened, it's like, did you hear about Bobby Knight? He threw a chair across the floor. Yeah. What? Yeah, it's crazy.
Well, and I think too, guys. I think Bobby and Bobby Knight is like everything has changed so much and I know we got to hit a timeout here, but Bobby Knight has changed, or everything has changed so much in college athletics. Bobby Knight was the head coach at Indiana from 1971 until 2000. That is 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
You just it's gone. Like there might still be people here and there but like that age of he's the coach. That's our coach. He's been here for 2 decades.
We're not seeing it anymore.
It's over.
Boeheim, Roy Williams.
Yeah.
Those aren't happening anymore.
No, not in. I mean, there is one sport. I mean, that I'm aware of. I guess one sport that's visible, that's bigger, that still has some of that, and it's college baseball. Right, Mike? I mean, you know guys who've been get college, not just in the SEC, but just wherever, all over the country.
Yeah.
Outside of that, it's.
I will tell you,
not men's basketball, not college football.
No, and coaching baseball, while it is very difficult, the drama that you deal with on a baseball roster is entirely different than football and basketball.
Mm-hmm.
It just is. I've been around all three most of my adult life and my entire career, and it's night and day. Night and day.
R.I.P. to Bob Knight, 83 years old, passed away yesterday. All right, we will step aside when we return. What's up first here? What did I see? Oh, a drive around the SEC coming up, presented by our friends at Love Chevy. Look at that fine, jacked up white Chevy Silverado in the Inside the Gamecocks, the show logo on the screen. You want one? Good time of year to buy one. I know that.
Mm-hmm.
Love Chevy. We can't thank them enough. Can't thank you enough. Don't go anywhere. Inside the Gamecocks, the show from the Sinorama Studios. We'll be right back.
Hey folks, it's JB, and as we all know, it's football season. My favorite place to shop for myself and the family is Gamecock Traditions in Lexington. They have the widest selection of Gamecocks attire, plus all the cool accessories for tailgating, cooking, kids, shoes, hats, and so much more. Most importantly for me, you can order online at GamecockTraditions.com, and it's shipped timely to your door. I've been shopping here for years, and I hope you will too. Order online right now on the Chief Sports app. Go Gamecocks.
Tony Pope State Farm is your go-to agent anywhere in South Carolina, North Carolina, or Georgia for the service you deserve at the price you want. So try combining your home, life, auto, and or small business insurance today. Tony Pope State Farm has been in business for more than 30 years and can handle anything you need in the tri-state area. 843-851-2222 or visit TonyPope.com today. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
If you're on Medicare currently or approaching eligibility, it's time to enroll in a Medicare plan that meets your needs. Palmetto Medicare is here to help you through the process. Palmetto Medicare's owner, Brian Spencer, and his team of experts are here to assist you. Learn about the benefits and enroll in a plan that will cover as many of your medical costs as possible. Some of the advantages of Medicare health plans may include a variety of plan choices, increased benefits, lower premiums, and more. Give Palmetto Medicare a call to discuss your insurance and help get the exact coverage for your needs today.
Nana's Porch, nanasporch.com. At Nana's Porch, they cater weddings, parties, and all kinds of special events. Their meals are served buffet style in seconds. They're encouraged. Plus, they can bring their mobile food unit to bring on-site and serve your guests as a unique alternative for your catering needs. Inquire about rentals as well. nanasporch.com. Find them on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. 336-259-7550.
South Carolinians, this message is for you, as well as for people in Georgia, Florida, and Tennessee. If you think you may need work done to your roof or a new roof altogether, there's one simple name to remember: Elite Roofing and Restoration. South Carolina native Jeremy Johnson has been helping people in the South make sure they have the very best people checking on and building new roofs for over 25 years. Fully licensed, bonded, and insured, they provide the best service possible. Call or email today, 678-781-9900. 1998. That's 678-781-1998, or you can go to EliteRoofingGA.com. Schedule a no-hassle, free inspection today. Wind damage, hail damage, or just wear and tear. Don't settle for second best. Let Jeremy Johnson and Elite Roofing and Restoration take care of it all for you today.
It's now time to take a drive around the SEC.
Sponsored by Love Chevrolet. No hassles, no all-day runarounds, no ridiculous add-on stickers. At Love Chevy, buying a car is fun. South Carolina's #1 volume Chevy dealer. I-26 at Harbison and at lovechevy.com. Find new roads.
$12.28 Inside the Gamecocks, the show built by the Barndominium Co. Mikey, take us away, my man.
Yeah, let's start off with the actual poll that matters. It finally came out on Tuesday, the playoff poll, right? This is the one that we've been waiting for. This is what we've all been anticipating, excited about. It's really going to be a lot more exciting when this is a 12-team playoff, quite honestly. But you saw the top five: Ohio State, Georgia, Michigan, Florida State, Washington. Jamie, you and I were talking about the, hypotheticals, I guess, on Tuesday's show. And the thing I told you then is I said I wouldn't be surprised if the committee makes a point of Georgia and Michigan's lack of schedule. And that's pretty much what they did by putting Ohio State. That's a true strength of schedule play. There's nothing more scientific about that than that. I don't have a problem with it. I mean, at the end of the day, it's not going to matter because Georgia's about to hit their gauntlet, right? I mean, they're Missouri, Ole Miss, at Tennessee. They might break a sweat against Georgia Tech, but those next three games, that tells you Georgia will have plenty on their resume. Oh, by the way, an SEC championship game as well, with the opponent being Alabama or LSU that happened to play this weekend. More on that in a moment. But for those that have been insisting it's a down year in the SEC, how many times have we heard that this year, guys? It's a down year in the SEC. SEC is, it's just not that good this year, and blah, 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 blah. Well, for a down year in the SEC, the top 17 of the college football rankings is awfully full of the SEC. You've got Georgia number 2. You've got Alabama number 8. You've got Ole Miss number 10. You've got Missouri number 12. LSU at 14, and Tennessee at 17. Oh, by the way, the two teams that will enter the league next year, Texas at 7, Oklahoma at 9. So you add all that up, that's 8 of the top 17 teams in the college football rankings are from the Southeastern Conference. Oh, everything is relative. Is it a down year for the SEC in the middle of the pack? I kind of think I would agree with that. But stack it up to the middle of the Big Ten, woeful. Stack it up to the middle of the Big 12. I mean, the ACC.
Ooh.
No, it's not SEC homerism. It just is what it is. Like it's a year after year, it's the deepest league in college football. This year, in a 4-team playoff, obviously the team that everybody is kind of pinning their hopes on is Georgia to make it from the SEC. If you had the 12-team playoff, Alabama would also be in. But with the current format, remember they would take the top 6 champions, conference champions. So you wouldn't have as many SEC teams as you would think. If they just went 1 through 12 and you included Texas and Oklahoma, the SEC in next year's 12-team playoff under this kind of setting here would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of the 12. Half of the field would be from the SEC. Pretty crazy, huh?
Can I add to that too?
Please.
5 of those 12 would also be from the newly formed Big Ten. So you'd have the SEC Big Ten Challenge essentially in college football,
yes.
Which is where it's heading anyways.
Which is kind of where it's headed anyway. Which is why the rest of the people around the sport are like, please don't do that, because that just perpetuates itself and makes it harder and harder for the other leagues to compete. Quite honestly, not to mention you've got Clemson and Florida State playing footsie with other leagues. By the way, for the people that reported that as if it was fact, what was that, like 6 weeks ago? What's happened? Nothing. Yeah, okay. Moving along. Take a look at
Wait, who did report that as fact?
There are people that reported it as if this was a major story. Major. I talked to a guy who knew a guy.
Oh, I know.
Nothing's happened.
There's
I'm
one
not
guy
saying
in
it
this
won't
state
happen.
who stood on top of the mountain and told everybody 2 years ago. He told everybody this because he knows everything.
Hey, guess what? I could report that a hurricane's going to hit the state of Florida.
Yeah.
Now it might not be for another year and a half, but I'll be right eventually. Like that's you're not telling me, you're not breaking any news. You're not really. Goodness gracious. Oh man. All right. The slate of SEC games coming up. We got Texas A&M at Ole Miss. We're going to have this on the Salsarita's Fab Five. I'm still trying to figure out how Ole Miss is only a 3-point favorite, but as Lee Corso likes to say, somebody knows something, right? That'll be at noon on ESPN. ESPN 2 at the same time, Arkansas, Florida. Sam Sixpack could really use a victory, 0-5 in the SEC. The Gators are a 6-point favorite in that one. If you're Billy Napier, piece of advice, do not lose that game because you still got LSU and Florida State. You're coming off a blowout loss to Georgia without its best player. Don't lose to 0-5 Arkansas. Georgia, Missouri. You know, on paper, this sounds like a terrific game. And then you look at the spread, and it's like Georgia's a 15-point favorite. That just shows you where Georgia is in comparison to most of this league.
Everybody.
Auburn at Vanderbilt. Oh, Vanderbilt. Auburn a 12.5-point favorite on the road. I don't know what else to say about Vanderbilt at this point. Kentucky's at Mississippi State. Kentucky's a 3.5-point favorite. That game, I'm not going to say it's juicy, but it's interesting in that I don't really have a feel on it one way or another. Like, I could certainly see Mississippi State winning at home.
That game goes back and forth. The home team usually wins. That's their permanent opponents right now. They play each other every year. But Zach Arnett, I think Zach Arnett needs to win this game, man. I don't know that they're going to punt after 1 year, but you know, a lot of the stuff I'm reading out of Starkville is that this is very temporary. If they don't start winning,
you know, he took a chance in that rather than just what a lot of former defensive coordinators that just got bumped up, in this case due to a tragedy, he took a chance and said, no, I'm going to completely revamp the offense. People in Starkville started to embrace. Now, look, in fairness, Mike Leach's offense didn't do that good against really good defenses. They struggled. They couldn't run. They were predictable, and that would always draw criticism. But they beat a lot of teams that they were supposed to beat, and every now and then would spring an upset or two. Remember the win over LSU the year after Joe Burrow during COVID? That's how Mike Leach's era kind of started in Starkville.
He had A&M's number too.
Yeah.
That was left over from Texas Tech where he had their number there too.
That's right. So, but my point is that he could have just stayed with that kind of. There's plenty of other coordinators out there that know air raid principles, and in a way that would have been a safer play. But knowing Zach Arnett, he's like a lot of other defensive coordinators. They don't like having a defense that's constantly on the field. And that's what you get. That's the downfall of the air raid. It's either 3 and out or it's score a touchdown in 2 plays in 67 seconds. And so that means your defense is really working overtime. UConn, Tennessee. Yeah. LSU at Alabama. That'll be the primetime game. This is such a classic matchup. And I'll tell you this. As a Heisman voter, there are 2 guys right now that would be on my ballot that I'm not sure would be on a lot of others. One of them is Jaden Daniels. There's not a quarterback in the country that has played better this year than Jaden Daniels. But they've lost 2 games. I know. He played well in the 2 games they lost, too. It's 25 touchdowns, 3 picks, 2,573 yards. He runs. He makes big plays. When he gets hurt, he doesn't. I mean, he's back out there. He's a gamer. I don't think you could ask much more out of Jaden Daniels. The other one, by the way, is Carson Beck. If Carson Beck balls against Ole Miss, Tennessee, and this Saturday against Missouri, don't be surprised if you start hearing more and more hype for Carson Beck as a Heisman Trophy candidate. Just saying. And, of course, Jacksonville State at South Carolina, Gamecocks versus Gamecocks on ESPNU. Jack State 7-2. That's a great place to do a game. I've only been there once, and that was the year that the FCS did the playoff in the spring because of COVID. And so Cole Kublik and I did the game. I can't remember who they played. They won. But it's a great football town, as you would expect in Alabama. And it got me thinking, if you're the FCS, boy, oh boy, wouldn't it be tempting to just play your season in the spring? And I'd take an FCS game in April over an XFL, USFL game any day of the week. And I think most college football fans would.
Oh, I enjoyed that when they played in the spring.
It's great.
All the Ivy League, the FC, all of FCS, the HBCUs played. We enjoyed spring football around here when they did that. So, yeah.
No, it would be a shrewd move. The coaches, from what I gathered, they don't like it. The weather is an issue for a lot of those schools playing games in February, March. And some of them are just creatures of habit. Football's made to be played in the fall. I ain't playing no ball in the spring.
It is.
That's true. And I can't disagree with any of that. I'm just saying, selfishly as a fan, I'd love to see it in the spring.
Yeah, FCS. Yeah, but you hit the nail on the head too. There's a lot of cold weather, big time FCS program. Like Montana is Eastern Washington, the Dakotas schools. I mean, it gets bone-chilling cold.
Bone-chilling cold.
Up there,
and playing in the snow once a year is cool. Playing in it like eight of your regular season games, not cool.
Yeah.
That's not cool.
Yeah. So even here in Illinois, you got Southern and Eastern and Western. I would not want to be outside on the prairie in February here.
No, not at all. No. Anyway, that is your Love Chevy drive around the SEC.
Vanderbilt, poor Vanderbilt. This is their 21st losing season in the last 24 years since 2000. 21 of 24. All my fellow friendly Gamecock fans, how would you like to have a losing record 21 of the last 24 years?
Yeah.
Gamecocks have only had 6 losing seasons since 2000.
They had Jay Cutler, and say what you will about Jay Cutler. Jay Cutler was a first-round draft pick for a reason. He was an incredibly talented quarterback. And that, if I'm not mistaken, that was the Bobby Johnson era. And Bobby Johnson was a good coach, did some good things at Vandy. But I don't think Jay Cutler ever played in a bowl game at Vandy.
He didn't.
It's
it was
a tough job.
The next year, they finally got to a bowl in 2008 under Bobby Johnson, and then
they're only one.
He was kind of like his tenure at Vandy was similar to Sylvester Crooms at Mississippi State. I mean, it took him 4 or 5 seasons to get them right, but then he left James Franklin a lot of good young players because remember he retired over the summer. Robbie Caldwell had that 1 year as the interim, and then they brought in Franklin, and Franklin won 6, 9, and 9 before going to Penn State. Up there was amazing. That was during the Spurrier era at South Carolina, so I don't think we appreciate that enough. What Franklin did in those 3 years at Vanderbilt was sort of amazing.
Well, look, James Franklin. The story is yet to, the final chapter of his folklore at Penn State has yet to be written. I would advise him to finally beat either Michigan or Ohio State at some point. That kind of needs to be done. But I don't think he was going to keep it up at Vanderbilt. Like that's the old fallback line. I hear people say, "Well, heck, James Franklin took him to back-to-back blah blah blah." He did it, but it's not happening again, and he wasn't going to do it again. He had the perfect storm of good enough players, an NFL wideout here, an NFL linebacker there, a solid quarterback in Jordan Rodgers, and the East was quite honestly down. We've talked about that a number of times. But that's almost impossible to replicate no matter who the coach is.
21 losing seasons. Any guesses as to who has the second most losing seasons in the SEC since 2000?
Probably Tennessee or Kentucky.
Oh,
Kentucky. 12.
Kentucky, yeah.
Tennessee is still not. I mean,
Tennessee is the fourth most in the league. 9.
If it's 2000s, because they went through a losing period.
Since 2000, Tennessee has 9 losing seasons. That's more than South Carolina, Alabama, Missouri A&M, Florida Auburn, Georgia LSU.
And how
Keep
did
in
that
mind
happen?
the Bama number is tricky because they had wins taken away for cheating. So they've technically have 5 losing seasons since 2000.
Yeah, I
the
don't play
vacated.
that. Vacated.
Retroactive.
Tennessee is when you go back, and it looks like they've finally gotten out of that quagmire. But if you go back and you look at everything they did, at one point they were paying 3 football coaches at one time. 2 of them fired, and the current coach. They had 3 basketball coaches on the payroll, and 2 or 3 football coaches on the payroll. If you're the AD at Tennessee, you're stroking checks to like a half a dozen fired coaches every month. I mean, it's just incredible. They made one bad move after another, after another, after another. I mean, bad with a capital B, to the point where they got so desperate that they thought Phil Fulmer would be the answer. He's a true Tennessee guy. He's a former player. He knows what he's doing. Yeah, he brought you Jeremy Pruitt, which is one of the most embarrassingly bad hires in the history of the SEC.
Fiasco.
So it was an absolute fiasco. So, things have finally stabilized. Water finds its own level. At least it has in Knoxville. But it shows you, like, nobody is indestructible. You can really descend at some point. And look, Tennessee's always been a more difficult job in my opinion than some of the heavyweights in the SEC. It doesn't have the recruiting grounds that Georgia, Florida, even Alabama has. So it's not like Tennessee, it's their birthright to, be a national championship contender every year. I don't know if that's necessarily true. Fulmer had a good stretch, but he also had a stretch where he beat Spurrier in Florida, and they didn't just fire him because, one day he didn't meet the weight requirement. They fired him because the program was starting to trend south. It was trending downward. I would actually defend the firing of Phil Fulmer. What it's hard to defend is so many of the moves they made after that.
Well, yeah, Lane Kiffin leaving after a year hurt them.
Killed him.
Because they were that coaching staff he had was like a bunch of rock star recruiters, including one Ed Orgeron was on that staff at Tennessee for 1 year. And he not only left for Southern Cal, he took all those guys with him, except his brother-in-law David Reeves. He didn't go, but the rest of them did. And then so Tennessee scrambles. They go hire Derek Dooley, and that was just a high comedy. Now, funny guy, hilarious guy to listen to. I loved it. I watched almost all of his press conferences, partly because it was sadistic, because they were losing. But I had no idea what he was going to say. He'd sit there and bring up Rommel and World War II, and and he said Marcus Lattimore was running through him like Secretariat one day after they lost in Columbia, and then he had that weird. He'd break his back and had to be in a wheelchair and coach with his orange pants on, and he wore the orange. It was, and then just when I thought you can't replace Derek Dooley with anybody that's more cartoonish, they go and hire Butch Jones, Champions of Life,
and then they go to Jeremy Pruitt. Which makes Butch Jones look like Newt Rockne.
My beer stage.
Butch at least got him. Butch had 2 top 10 recruiting classes and got him close. Butch couldn't beat Vanderbilt. That was his big problem. He couldn't beat Vanderbilt.
Right.
Derek Mason owned him. Derek Mason, who's probably one of the worst coaches in the history of the SEC. Because Franklin, I was in Nashville at the time. Franklin left Derek a pretty good football team, and he proceeded to change everything and go 0-8 in the SEC his first year. But he beat Tennessee though. He somehow those guys played well when they played Tennessee. And then Pruitt comes in, and then you had the coaching search leading up to Pruitt was just
my goodness,
insanity. I mean, they were about to hire Mike Leach, and if Florida's search had Chip Kelly or Scott Frost taken Florida, Tennessee would have actually ended up with Dan Mullen.
That's right.
He was going to take that job, And you have to think if you're them, Dan would have probably done a pretty good job.
And by the way, the AD who they summarily kicked out of there, who did hire Schiano, Rutgers is actually good again. They're respectable. Schiano can coach. I don't care what anybody says. Is he likable? Is he this or that? That hire was a hell of a lot better than Jeremy Pruitt, which is who Phil Fulmer made. I'll never forget this. The first year that Tennessee had Jeremy Pruitt, we go out there to do a game. I think it was me and Barrett Jones, former Alabama offensive lineman. So we always meet with the coaches on Friday, and you sit down, you're at a table, and it's him, and then eventually it's the coordinators and a couple players. And I've done this so many times now. A lot of it just kind of blurs together, and nobody really stands out. I sat there for 30 minutes, and I kept thinking, is this guy really an SEC head coach? I mean, we're just sitting there, and it's like, I couldn't believe that this was the man they hired for an SEC job. There's a lot of SEC coaches that didn't work out and got fired, but you understood the hire, and they were intelligent people, and they had a track record of success, and it all made sense. That made no sense whatsoever. None. And it was I can't imagine if you sat down and you interviewed him for an hour, 2 hours, 3. I mean, some of these interviews last for like an entire day. You walked away and said, "Oh yeah, this is the guy that's going to lead us to the promised land." Then by the way, he cheated his ass off and got you in trouble. But beyond that, he was just awful, just awful.
It is 12:48. We need to step aside for our final timeout of hour 2. GamecockTraditions.com will keep you warm. It's going to be chilly Saturday morning at Williams-Brice Stadium. GamecockTraditions.com. Gamecock Traditions, of course, in West Columbia. Stop in today and get those kids bundled up before they get out there and they start crying about how cold they are, and then you have to leave the game early. Nobody wants that. GamecockTraditions.com. Hang tight. We'll be right back.
The preferred sign partner of Gamecock Athletics is Signorama Columbia, and they should be yours too. A full-service sign company that handles design, production, install, and service, Signorama Columbia has helped to bring to life the perfect vision for so many all across South Carolina. Owned and operated by proud Gamecock alumni, they can handle all types of signage, including interior and exterior, vehicle graphics, and more. Go to Signorama.com and find the West Columbia location, or call them at 803-407-9284. Bring your brand to life with Signorama Columbia, and go Gamecocks.
Charleston Fitness Equipment is keeping South Carolina in shape. Clients have come from all over the Palmetto State to find that one piece of equipment that they enjoy that keeps them looking and feeling good. Whether it's a home rower, treadmill, elliptical, free weights, a home gym, or something else, Charleston Fitness Equipment keeps the mirror smiling back at you. Get in shape like the Gamecocks do. Visit charlestonfitnessequipment.com. Gamecock owned and operated and proud partners of Inside the Gamecocks, the show.
Coach O here. And when I'm not eating average jambalaya or celebrating endless summer in Destin, I like to eat pimento cheese straight out the bucket. And the only pimento cheese I like to eat is from Nana's Porch. It's award-winning. It'll melt in your mouth. It's good on a cracker. It's good in a bowl. It's good on a piece of bread. Also, don't forget Nana's Porch has a hell of a food truck. It's award-winning as well, and they're here for all of your catering needs. So get online, nanasporch.com. It's good. Coach O signing off. Endless summer. Go Tiger.
For chicken cock, we get a medium to medium plus toast, the char level. We use a number 3 level char. If you char it too deep, you start burning away some of those flavor components that you just created. If you just char a barrel and you don't toast it, you're going to create some of those flavors just on a thin layer just inside the char, but not the actual depth and full extent of flavors that you're going to get if you toast it properly. All those elements, that's exactly what they do. They boil down to great flavor.
If you're in the real estate market in the Low Country or even in the Midlands, please contact me, JB, with Coast to Coast Realty SC. Go Gamecocks.
This break is presented by Billy G's Carolina Barbecue, the state newspaper's 2023 winner for Best Catering, Best Barbecue, and Best Food Truck. Visit BillyG'sCarolinaBarbecue.com for all of your catering needs.
Ladies and gentlemen, here it is.
Dale
The dead and gone, left me here to weep and moan.
All right, final segment, hour 2, Inside the Gamecocks, the show. Welcome back. Mike Morgan, part of Power Hours on Tuesdays and Thursdays around here, brought to you by the very not handsome Brian Spencer and Palmetto Medicare. Quickly here, we'll get to the Fab Five coming up in hour 3. Gamecocks climb back and win last night in an exhibition over Wofford, 60-57. Dear God, don't read the message boards. The season is already over. They haven't even kicked off. Oh, my God, what are we going to do? Fire Lamont Paris. JC has been lying to us once again all season. The world is coming to an end. Ray Tanner needs to come pick up the dog crap out of my yard, and I got a flat tire this morning. I have no other life other than to complain all day long on a message board on deaf ears. Lamont Paris, though, has been working to get all these guys in there and try to figure out rotations. Mike, you've been around basketball. You call college basketball. You know it inside and out. You know all of these coaches. You've gotten to learn how they do things. And you have this thing, and it's been widespread for quite some time in college hoops before it became really popular in the other sports. It's called the transfer portal. And when you get a bunch of transfers, you got to figure out how it all fits. And that's kind of the phase that they're in right now in Columbia.
Yeah, I was at SEC Media Days a few weeks ago, and one of the key stats I thought that Lamont has was that last year his entire roster had 122 combined starts. This year they have 480.
Yep.
That's what the portal can do.
Great stat.
Yeah. They weren't prepared for the portal last year. When I say prepared, just it rarely can a coach come right in and just start plucking players from other programs when the other schools have a little more stability in that area. And as Lamont and other coaches have told me, quite frankly, it comes down to money. It's not about getting, Mama really loves our relationship and feels good about her son spending 4 years at this fine institution with me as like a father figure. That's what it used to be like for a lot of recruiting. It's not how it is today. And from what I understand, they are more equipped to spend money in the portal.
Thanks, JC.
Yeah, exactly. Gracias, Senor Sherbert. The transfers that they brought in, I think, will all be impactful. And as I've said before, with all due respect to G.G. Jackson, who I hope has a great NBA career, they will be better without that situation. That was a just almost an impossible coaching situation where you have your first year, you don't have much talent, and you have this one McDonald's All-American who probably has 100 people in his ear every week saying, man, you're the man. You got to shoot the ball every time. Don't be listening to everybody else. That's what happens. I've seen that enough times to know. And Gigi's not a bad dude. Like, I had a chance to talk to him a number of times. He was a good kid, comes from a good background, good family. But what goes on for that type of athlete, so it's almost, I don't want to say it's uncoachable, but it's very hard. And you're just going to have a more connected group. That's the word. If you want to go back and you look at teams that have success in college basketball, obviously it's talent. But if it was all about talent, John Calipari would be sitting on 10 national titles instead of 1 at Kentucky. By the way, a scathing article by Kyle Tucker, The Athletic, on the recent lack of success for Cal in terms of postseason. That's a good read if you just like college basketball. But connected are the teams that do well in terms of getting to the postseason and in the postseason. They were not a connected bunch last year with G.G. Jackson. This year, I think they'll be more connected, and hopefully that overcomes some of the talent deficiencies. Because make no mistake about it, they're not going to be top half of the league talent-wise. And I don't think they're going to finish top half. But here's the thing. I guarantee you there's going to be at least one team from that second half that will be an NCAA tournament team. Because there's 14 teams in the league, and I think the league gets 8 teams in the field this year. So maybe you fight for that 8th slot. By the way, just a quick little SEC. There are 93 players on NBA rosters from the Southeastern Conference. That's more than any other league in pro basketball.
Whoa.
They've had more first-round, right? Nope, most people wouldn't know that. Tell your friends in the Big Ten and the ACC. More first-round picks the last 3 years, more second-round picks the last 3 years, more overall picks the last 3 years, and no league has more bids to the NCAA tournament the last 5 years. It's a damn good league, folks. It ain't what it used to be. And everybody cares. Everybody gives a you-know-what. Fan bases don't just go, we're just a football school. Or, we'll just wait for baseball season. Nope. This is the varsity. It's not the JV. You try to be good at everything you compete in, especially the second highest revenue sport that exists in college athletics. Women's basketball loses $5 million a year. Men's basketball makes a profit. So, yeah, it's pretty important.
Yeah, some people yesterday were surprised when Phil and I mentioned that, and I know we're out of time, but that Phil and I mentioned that the Gamecock women lost $4 million last year. They're like, I thought that was a profit sport. I'm like, oh, no.
It's actually 5, but that's a whole other thing. I mean, you're spending a week in France for one game. God, that's fantastic. What a treat that is.
Yep. I mean, it. Yeah.
Can we do that here at ITG? Do we have that in the coffers? Can we?
We do. That would probably mean that Juice Wells will transfer out if he decides to come back to college football. But we can do it. Yeah, sure.
I got you.
Wow. All right.
Wow.
Might lose Juice Wells, but we get to be in France.
Oh, you know? I don't think that would do much for the popularity of this show, which is going very well so far. So probably don't want to. Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
I want to dig into this basketball team performance last night, though. I got some thoughts about that.
Sure. Yeah. Hey, by the way, to Mike's point, 9 juniors, seniors, and grad students on this men's basketball team. So, if you're looking for experience, it's there. And I think that was Matt Anderson's point yesterday. He likes where they stand.
They'll play better ball.
Yeah, they will. And when you get to the tournament, older teams tend to do well.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
Got to hit shots. We're out of time. Hour 3, Power Hour. Mike Morgan coming up.
Down here in the South, we don't always see eye to eye. While our taste in college football teams, or what sauce, if any, goes best on a rack of ribs, or what to mix with our Dixie vodka might be up for debate, we can all agree there's nothing better than a Southern tailgate. And like our favorite college teams, our ingredients come from small towns and big cities. They're grown in Southern soil, are crafted by Southern hands, and proudly represent the South in our backyard and beyond. So raise a glass of Dixie Southern Vodka to celebrate being made in America and raised in the South.
Electric Bikes of Charleston offers the most fun you'll ever have on 2 wheels. Magnum, Velotric, Aventon bikes, and more. And they sell to consumers all across the state and offer outstanding warranties and service after the sale. 5 levels of pedal assist plus a throttle help you handle the southern heat better, but still get great exercise. Bikes are available all ages and sizes. ElectricBikesCharleston.com or stop into their store in Mount Pleasant. Electric Bikes of Charleston, powering Inside the Gamecocks, the show. Golfers and wannabe golfers, former Gamecock golfer Meredith Taylor is now a full-time golf instructor in the Midlands of South Carolina. In-person golf lessons are held at the Country Club of Lexington. Half-hour, hour, on course 9 or 18 holes. And if you're outside of South Carolina, Meredith conducts virtual lessons. Just send in your golf swing for analysis. Gift cards are available for in-person 1-hour lessons. Connect on Twitter @MayorTaylor and find her online at McKellarEnterprises.org. Her email is on the website. Schedule your next lesson today with Meredith Taylor, former Gamecock golfer.
One door opens while another one closes.
Dad, please, can we please go today?
Not today, sweetie.
One heart's breaking while another one is mending. It's all in the ebb and flow. If I had to, I could go it alone, but because you've become my home. These windows could shatter to the ground. These walls could fall right down, because you've become my home.
You don't have to tell Mom that.
Because you've become my home.
with a little love and some tenderness. We'll walk upon the water, we'll rise above the mist with a little peace and some harmony. We'll take the world together, we'll take them by the hand. 'Cause I got him for you. Oh, I wanna run with you. Yesterday, I saw you standing there. Your head was down, your eyes were red. No comb I touched your hair. I said, get up and let me see you smile. We'll take a walk together, walk the road a while.
Nice, Bill.
We gotta get you a better shot of Greenville in there than that, Chamber of Commerce contrived bridge that they constructed downtown.
Well, look, here's the thing. I've only gotten 2. I've asked everybody, whatever small town you're from in South Carolina, to send me an email with a photo of your hometown, and we'll put it in there. All right, and nobody's chose to do it except for 2 people. So I've got that working. But if you don't want to shout out your hometown, if you're not proud of where you're from, that's fine. We don't have to include it. But if you are proud of where you're from, then we'll include it. It's pretty simple. There's a lot of you around here that beat your chest about where you're from, but yet you won't send us an email with a picture of it. Are you scared? Is Abbeville gone downhill? Is it that bad now? What about Rock Hill? Is Rock Hill just a dump?
No.
Who can we piss off in here? Come on.
Rock Hill's doing very
Augusta? Well, I hear North Augusta sure is a you-know-what hole these days. Nobody wants any pictures coming out of there.
Based on the Fab Five entries, we've got listeners from every spots.
I know.
Because
nobody wants
zip
to send
codes,
us
we know.
photos.
That's one of the great things about Carolina Rise that I do, because I got everybody in a spreadsheet, so I see where everybody's from, and I'm always kind of interested. And there's still people in these little towns across the state. Trust me.
Yeah, like Johnsonville. What a dump. Yeah, huh? See, Craig? Yeah, we got you popping now, right? See, now we're smoking them out. You were smoking them out. That's how you do it. Yeah. North Augusta. What a dump that place is.
I'm talking to you, Honeypath.
Man, I went to downtown Fort Mill. I was flying out of Charlotte and had to go to the post office before I did. I was downtown Fort Mill, I guess a couple months back, and it's nice. I mean, these little Woodruff in Spartanburg County. Apparently, one of our friends has moved to Woodruff. He's getting remarried. We talk about him all the time, me and Phil. And he's moving to Woodruff, and he said Woodruff, their downtown area, they got brew pubs and little shops and stuff. So as the bigger cities grow and get unlivable in South Carolina because they're so tight because everybody's moving there, I think these little towns are going to have a resurgence because how they exist is, guys, the textile industry built a lot of these little places, and that industry sort of went belly up a while back. Mm-hmm. And the economy in South Carolina has changed. It's still a robust economy, but it's hurt the little towns. Well, now, as the state gets more populated, these little towns are going to become more and more attractive because people, you don't move to South Carolina to sit in traffic. I mean, that's just not what you do. And Charleston, Greenville, Columbia is the slowest of the growth, but it's still a lot more crowded than it used to be. And so kind of
Columbia moves way better than Charleston does. It's not even close. It's not
for
even
a lot of Gen Xers like our age and our generation, getting out of one of those little towns is going to start being more and more attractive. So you wait, there will be a renaissance for some of these places.
If you move out to the country and you need to soup up the back porch, it's Palm Casual and Somerville, 350 Holiday Drive. There's another place that's gotten crowded. That's why they're out in Lincolnville and stretching out to St. George and everywhere in between. Palm Casual, also Palm Casual, of course, in Mount Pleasant. If you could find a better value in patio furniture or don't want it within 30 days, full refund, no questions asked. And here you go. That's it. Nothing. You found a better price. We can't get there. We got it. Thanks to Aaron and those guys for what they have made my back porch look like. I can tell you it's beautiful, and we've got Thanksgiving here this year. We've got the Bradford Christmas party, which is a disaster every year, but we need to have nice stuff for them to sit on, and they luckily have made us.
Did you guys get an invite from Jamie? I didn't get mine in the mail.
Well, you have to. No, it's a neighborhood thing. It's
Oh,
a neighborhood
okay.
thing. It's a neighborhood thing. So we make it easy. No
It's a
kids.
neighborhood thing.
It's the only party with no kids. Kids and the parents can walk and they leave, and generally they don't leave until it's way past all of our bedtimes.
Well, that sounds like my kind of soiree. Apparently, you don't know my reputation here, Jamie. I'm not bringing kids with me, and I'm certainly not afraid of the odd hours of the night.
Well, you're welcome to walk here from Atlanta, Mike. It's that was kind
Well, I
of
didn't
the
expect you to bring a limo to my door to transport.
All right,
me.
they're
I'll make it
coming
there.
in now. Thanks, Jan. Jan's got some photos coming in from Conway, South Carolina.
Yeehaw!
Appreciate it. All right, there you go. There
Old
you go.
G, you can always count on Jan, man. He's
Yeah,
reliable.
Jan comes through, and we need you. We need you because and those who say, well, where can I get your email address? I don't know how many times I have to say this. That's what the Chief Sports app is for. Use your fingers, your brain, and your eyes, and you can find it pretty easily in there. Somebody who uses everything but his brain apparently is Brian Spencer with Palmetto.
Dynamite intro, Marty. Yes, Brian Spencer. The one thing he does use his brain for is getting people the very best in their Medicare plans. Don't listen to that cranky old broad on those national spots. Martha, my goodness. I mean, do you really want to deal with those people? Of course not. You want to deal with somebody right there in South Carolina who's been doing it since 2005. Again, it's free to ask. Everything about this is free. You're not writing a check. You're not buying anything. You're just talking or meeting one-on-one with Brian, who for years has been helping South Carolinians get the most out of their plans. He'll check the premiums. He'll make sure you're getting the right prescription plans. I realize for some of you that aren't of that age, you know somebody of that age, and chances are they might not do this on their own. You know, as we get older, we get a little more stubborn, a little more set in our ways. So you can take the initiative and really do something nice. Do a solid for that family member that is in that age demographic. Palmetto-Medicare.com. The phone number is 803-960-9484. And yes, Brian is slightly better looking than the picture you see on your screen in the upper left-hand corner. Slightly. We're not talking model material, and he can't sing. He's not much of a golfer. Basically, he's on this earth to do one thing, and that's to take care of you and your family's Medicare options.
The words of Billy Madison. This guy can't even read.
I don't know if he's literate. It doesn't matter, though.
No.
That's okay if he can't.
Good news and bad news. Good news is we respect where those of you that live outside of the state of South Carolina are. The bad news, our video is for the state of South Carolina. So no, if you're not in South Carolina, I'm sure you're proud of wherever you are, but we don't need your photo.
I could show you a picture of JC with a six-pack on a back porch here in Atlanta. You want to put that on?
Don't need that in there
on the montage.
This song is called "Hold My."
I think I got about 7 cities worth of that photo, Mike.
The song is called "Hold My Hand," not "Hold My Beer."
We do a yearbook of JC out on a porch in various cities across the land and kicking back with a 12-pack of Natty Light and just listening to some tunes, living his best life.
Willie says, the last time I heard addition by subtraction was when Paul Feinbaum said our D would be better when Clowney was leaving, and we haven't played D since. I can assure you this situation with basketball and that situation are not.
Well, keep in mind, they didn't just lose Clowney. I mean, they lost a bunch of NFL dudes.
Everybody.
On those defenses.
DJ Swearinger was on that team. Yeah, there's all kinds of guys.
Melvin Ingram.
Feinbaum, known for his
Stephon Gilmore. I got to be careful what I say. I've been on Paul's show. He's a good person.
Yeah.
But if you're looking for like in-depth breaking down the rosters of these teams, that's not what that show is all about.
No, it's called entertainment.
It's entertainment. It's the Alabama fan talking trash to Georgia fan, Tennessee fan talking trash to LSU fan, and then some good guests sprinkled in between. That's the beauty of that show, and it goes on for 4 hours each and every day. And I do have respect for anybody who can do it 4 hours each and every day. That is not an easy thing to do.
Gamecock basketball next on the floor, by the way, on Monday. That is their season opener against the alma mater of one J.C. Schubert, the Spartans of USC Upstate.
I'm sorry. Jan hit it out of the park. Martha's glasses freak me the hell out. Yeah, Martha's got to do something about those glasses, again, for those who've seen that commercial. I know JC had some thoughts on the game last night. I don't want to go too ADD here because I want to hear what he has to say before I see these guys in person.
Yeah, I thought winning or losing, it doesn't matter. It's tough for this fan base to sometimes, if you lose an exhibition, to get over it. Because Frank lost to Augusta College in an exhibition one night, and people were wanting to fire him. Don't lose
mean nothing.
But I mean, Wofford is not like your state. I mean, usually you play like a D2 school or something to get a little warm up, but Wofford is not. Not that. They're a solid basketball program. So good job coming back. I'll say this about this team. 9 for 30 from the field. Meechie Johnson from 3-point land, and Meechie Johnson going 0 for 7 from 3-point land. They won't win many games if that happens. This team's going to have to shoot 3 at a high clip. I think this year, and Meechie's got to be one of their better scorers. I mean, he went 0 for last night. Stute didn't shoot it all that well either. Stute. Is it Stute or Stutes?
Stute.
Miles Stute.
Yeah.
So Stute. Stute. All right. It's like a Spurrier nickname for somebody named Stewart. Hey, Stute.
How you doing, Stute?
Stute. Anyway.
How's the family?
But, so I, that would be concerned. It's an exhibition game. It's one game. They were missing who I think will be at least their second best player, probably their best player, in freshman Colin Murray Boyles, who obviously is mono. I mean, can you write it up any better with these guys missing time with this athletic program right now? Starting with baseball last year. I mean, can it get? I mean, what's next? What's next? I mean, but anyway, but he'll be back. And I think that'll help obviously with a lot of this, and they'll be a better team because he is going to be really good. And so those are my thoughts. I thought fighting to come back and get the W, even though it doesn't count, is always good. And if you look at their schedule, I think the non-conference schedule is doable. I think Lamont did a good job. Frank never got it as far as scheduling goes, and it's not that he didn't get it. He did what he thought was best, right? And it did. He would schedule named teams, but then all their guys would transfer and they'd beat them, and it wasn't a quality win and all this other stuff. So here's the deal. Here's what Lamont did. He kind of took a more scientific approach with the net ranking, which I'm not a fan of. I'll be honest. The net. I think the intentions were good, but I'm just not a fan of overhyping analytics and stuff like that. But with the net and how you have to, work it is you have these quad games, right? And so I think doing things like going to East Carolina. East Carolina comes to Columbia. That's probably a quad 4 game, quad 3 at best, even if they have a great team. But on the road, it could sneak into that quad 2, quad 3 category. Playing like Grand Canyon on a neutral court. Grand Canyon is home of the Clapper now. One Bryce Drew. Well, they made the tournament last year. I mean, playing them on a neutral court and DePaul on a neutral court. If you had them come to Columbia, maybe it's a 3. Well, now that may be a 2. DePaul, who knows? DePaul's not very good, but it still could be a 3. They're in the Big East. They'll have a good strength of schedule. At Clemson, Virginia Tech, and Charlotte on a neutral court. That could be a quad 1, even though Virginia Tech's probably not going to have their best team this year. Mike Young's a hell of a coach, and we know that they're always tough. So I look at it, and I'm like, well, this is – he kind of scheduled it to where you can run up some wins, but the wins, unlike some of the Frank years when, like the year they missed out and started 15-0, where everybody on the schedule had a name but had a bad year, like St. John's, Memphis, those guys. Unlike that year, I think, I think this could be a sneaky good net ranking type non-conference schedule. And then in the conference, obviously the better your non-conference wins, and the better the conference is, the deeper it is, the more your chances are of getting in at the end of the day. So that's kind of my big picture take on Lamont and his team this year. But they're going to have to shoot it better. But they're certainly capable of doing so.
The only thing I would add to that, and it's well said, JC, and to your point, Jamie, when you're a portal team, which quite frankly most teams in college basketball are, but this is to a different extreme because you didn't have a lot of just proven talent coming back other than Michi. This is not going to happen right away. So you're going to see some losses where people will rush to the keyboards we're going to be terrible again. No, this is not necessarily the case, but you're going to see some losses in November, December, where if you take it out of context, you're going to be disappointed and think that the sky is falling. That's not going to be the case. And unfortunately, for a lot of SEC teams, this is the reality. Like if you check scores, I think most fans don't do that like they do with football. They just look at their own team. But if you look at the scores around the league in November, December, most of these schools get bit by somebody. You're like, how the hell did that happen? The answer is because it's basketball.
Well, it is. Yeah, it is November. I like Mike, when the season started around Thanksgiving, or maybe like the 15th, right?
Turkey before hoops has been something I have preached for decades. TBH,
and it hurts schools in the SEC in particular because like schools in the Big East in their 6,000 seat arenas and basketball is the only game in town. I mean, they're showing up and yelling, and they don't give a crap that it's November. But down south, I mean, there's just so much football in November. It's just so big everywhere. It's hard to get into basketball that early.
That's right.
And these teams do it, and you'll see it. You'll see an Ole Miss lose to like Holy Cross in front of a half-empty arena. And then Ole Miss goes on and has a good year. And that's another reason why I hate the net ranking, because the net counts these November games just as much as your March games. And it used to be that your teams that finish pretty well will get on the bubble, on the right side of the bubble easily. But with the net, it's just like it's too robotic. I think they probably should tweak it, but they're not. They're not going to. If you're going to make these guys play in November, and before the season actually should be starting, then then you need to be a little more fair about it. But and what this stupid early start, what's taken away is things like Christmas tournaments. Y'all remember Christmas tournaments? You remember as you have the Sugar Bowl tournament? My dad and I flew in 1986 to the Sugar Bowl Classic in New Orleans to see South Carolina play Vanderbilt and then play Houston or Villanova, and they play Villanova. Raleigh Massimino, got to see him coach at the Superdome. Well, and they I remember South Carolina one year went to the Sun Bowl tournament in El Paso. Those are just kind of gone.
There's fewer of them.
They take a week off for exams and a week off for Christmas, and so you really don't even get a chance to get playing and get the season going until January almost, because you're playing a bunch of games nobody cares about. Then December gets here and you're off for vast stretches of time.
And the thing is, those games that no one cares about, they all count. They all matter. If you're a bubble team,
same.
Hypothetically, let's just say that Wofford was a regular season game, which sometimes it is. If you lose to Wofford in November, or if you just happen to, we don't do this anymore, but back in the day, SEC teams would actually play an out-of-conference game in like February. And if you lost to Wofford in February, it counts just as much or just as little as it did in November. That hasn't changed. So all these mid-major coaches, I've talked to them about it. They want to go to SEC schools in November, December, because they know there's no crowd, there's no environment. It's a good way to clip somebody, pull off the upset, and boost your profile and your rankings and everything else. But for the SEC school, and this was the thing that Frank got all caught up sometimes in some stuff that are just, if you are an SEC basketball coach and you're going to get all bent out of shape because your fans don't show up in November, December when you take on mid-major teams, that is a losing battle. Don't worry about it. And all the billboards up around the state of South Carolina are not going to help. If just people like Nate Oates and Bruce Pearl, they get it. Like they don't sit there and obsess over the fact that football is more popular than basketball. You don't try to win that war. You're not going to. So just suck it up. Coach your games that are half empty in November, December. Win them, and then if you're good, people will pack it in January, February, and March. But don't sit there and win battles you can't win in the SEC. If you want to get the salary that SEC coaches get and the overall advantages that SEC coaches get, then don't bitch and moan about the deficiencies that you have crowd-wise in November, December. It comes with the territory. Deal with it.
Well said. Well said by the golden tones of the great Mike Morgan. Couldn't have come from a better source here on our show, that's for sure.
Man, I can't.
Go ahead.
Oh, I can't. I was going to say, I can't wait to, we taught basketball here last year, right? That was right when Jamie came on board. It was like basketball season. And, but I can't wait for Mike to be part of this. Because
I'm locked and loaded, my friend.
Well, see, JC and Morgan's a football show, so we'll talk hoops some, but this is going to be a big treat for me to listen to this guy every
That's true.
week. SEC basketball.
Yeah, and the thing I'll say too about it, what's always bothered me too, when people underestimate how much Gamecock fans do support basketball. You don't have to be Final Four good for them to pack the house. I can't tell you how many games I was doing on radio back in the day where and this is when Dave Odom had basically bubble teams. Dave Odom had bubble teams like 4 years in a row. Dave Odom was the ultimate bubble coach before it went southward. And those bubble teams in January, February, March for SEC games and Clemson, and if you schedule a really good out-of-conference team in like December, they'll pack it. And TV announcers will come up to me and I'll say, man, Mike, this is one of the loudest arenas I've been to all year long. And now as a TV announcer, I tell other people, yeah, when the Gamecocks are halfway decent, it's one of the best home court environments. People don't complain about too many seats. People don't complain about the fact that it's also a concert hall. They don't complain about anything. Because the fact of the matter is, when you put a good product on the floor, the Colonial Life Arena is a huge home court advantage. And Gamecock fans come out, they spend the money, they take time on a cold Tuesday or Wednesday night or a Saturday afternoon, and they go out there and they're all about it. So the whole notion that, well, basketball, I don't care, that might be true for some, but not most. You just got to give them a decent I mean, hell, nobody cared about women's basketball in Columbia, South Carolina until Dawn Staley started having success. That's how it works. But a lot of fans, it's in the DNA, go back to the Frank McGuire years. I mean, I used to talk to the quote-unquote old-timers when I was emceeing tip-off clubs. You couldn't get tickets to the old Carolina Coliseum. You'd have to wait in line for hours to get a seat for when South Carolina played whomever, NC State, on a Thursday night. That's still there. It's just waiting to erupt. But the Gamecock basketball fan has been beaten into oblivion with some bad and mediocre basketball. To go to one NCAA tournament in 19 years as a Power 5, Power 6 program is unacceptable, and it's almost imaginable, quite frankly. But it will get turned around. I know it for a fact, and when it does, you will see the fan support and the conversation and the interest level get back to what it used to be.
First home game coming up on November the 6th. They'll then play Virginia Tech in Charlotte. And then VMI, DePaul, and how about this? Notre Dame comes to town as part of the ACC SEC Challenge on November the 28th, following Clemson Carolina football on November the 25th. Got to step aside for a timeout. Inside the Gamecocks, the show, part of the Chief Sports Network, which is served by Dixie Vodka. We'll be right back.
The State Farm Personal Price Plan helps you create an affordable price just for you.
Contact local agent Gary Patterson for your personal price plan today.
This holiday season, you can give a gift like never before. Hey guys, it's JB. Rescues in Resin produces custom-designed wood and resin products. From tables to wall art, coasters to cutting boards, and pretty much anything you can dream. Proud Gamecocks and veteran-owned, Dustin and Tabitha are creating products that will blow your family and friends away when they take the wrapping paper off this Christmas. Check them out in the Chief Sports app now and get your custom order in before it's too late. Rescues and Resin are also proud supporters of Carolina Rise and proud partners of the Chief Sports Network. Rescues and Resin at gmail.com or in the Chief Sports app is where you can find them. Change your gift-giving game today by ordering a custom design through our friends Tabitha and Dustin and Rescues and Resin.
My company is Billy G's Carolina Barbecue. We are based in Columbia, South Carolina, and we have 2 lines of sauces and a spice rub. I mean, when people try our product, they know it's a gourmet product, and it can go on any type of food. It's not surprisingly delicious, it's expectedly delicious.
The State Farm Personal Price Plan helps you create an affordable price just for you.
Contact local agent Gary Patterson for your personal price plan today.
Hey, Gamecock fans, Mike Morgan here. During my time in Columbia, one of my favorite places to eat was Salsaritas. When I go back now for work or any other reason, it's still Salsaritas. Yeah, I'm like you. I love tacos. I love Tex-Mex. Where are you going to go to get them? Well, you've got 2 convenient Salsaritas locations, one in Lexington in the Target Center and one in West Columbia as well. Now, if you like tailgating, and who doesn't? Whether it's for a football game or anything else, they've got the catering hotline. Get yourself some Fiesta packs to take tailgating. Get yourself the 3 Amigos bundles for tailgating. They make catering easy with a fresh, hot setup. And again, you just call the phone number 803-543-6297 to set it up. You can also look them up online, or you can even download the app. Salsaritas is just a cut above the rest. That's why they're serving Williams-Brice Stadium and the South Stands, also serving in the Colonial Life Arena. Again, that catering hotline number, make it easy for you and the folks out there. You don't need to settle for sandwiches every time. 803-543-6297. 803-543-6297.
Shop Charleston Fitness Equipment this holiday season. Major discounts on treadmills, rowers, ellipticos, and more. Proud partners of Carolina Rise, Inside the Gamecocks, and the Chief Sports Network. CharlestonFitnessEquipment.com. 843-388-0999. Charleston Fitness Equipment this holiday season.
All right, final segment of the afternoon, 1:30, Fab Five time. What are the records from last week? Do you have those, Phil?
I do. You and Mr. Morgan went 1-4. JC and I went 3-2, all to culminate in this record here. Not that one.
I had a resurgent week, I feel.
Oh,
yeah, we are tightening the gap here, JC. We are climbing back in this thing. Mike and I are now tied.
Wow. Yeah, back-to-back losing weeks. So this is why I don't gamble, because in September when I had not one but 2 5-0s, 2 5-0s in September, you start thinking to yourself, man, if I actually just put down a little, some stacks on that, I'd have a really good Christmas. Well, then you go back-to-back losing weeks, and you remember why you don't do it. Just for fun for us. But for somebody out there, for somebody such as our man Frank Buslowski of West Columbia, that's a good Tommy Boy name. Frank Buslowski of Buslowski Auto Parts.
Yeah, that's what I
Frank, congratulations, my man. You got yourself a free Fiesta pack. Be getting an email here soon on how to hook up with Suki. Maybe even get that for your tailgate one of these next 4 home games. Of course, Salsaritas. For those that don't win, the Fiesta Pack serves 5 to 6 people. Box is ready to go. Comes packed with tortillas, meats, toppings, chips, salsa, guac, queso. It's like a $55 value. They also have the 3 Amigo bundles. They have catering for all over, no matter how big your party is, for home or wherever. Suki will take great care of you, and you can see Suki at the Salsarita stand in the north end zone at Williams-Brice Stadium. South end zone, my bad. North, south. Yes, thank you for that. I stand corrected. Hey, can I add real quickly one thing I didn't mention on the Love Chevy Driver on the SEC? The Jerry Palm updated bowl projections. Remember last time it was South Carolina and the Gasparilla against Georgia State?
Yes.
Now it's South Carolina in the First Responder Bowl, December the 26th against Louisiana. That's
so he's
in
got
Dallas.
Gamecocks going 4-0 here.
Or you could get in there with a 5-7. It has happened. Has happened. You got to fill all those bowl slots. But yes, let's look at it from a positive standpoint.
Terrence, that's probably on me, dude, because Mike was out last week when we got the winner. So I'll forward your information to Mike for your Fiesta Pack.
Terrence,
he's last week's winner.
It's going to taste just as good, as not better, with that extra week of preparation for your taste buds. So, Terrence, we promise we'll get it out to you. Jamie will forward me the info. I'll forward your info to Suki, and everything will just come together in one big happy tortilla.
I'm doing that right now. Let's see.
By the way, this music was in my head the other day for about 6 hours. And I loved every minute of it. I'm not complaining.
That's right. Yeah.
Loved every minute of it. All I needed was a sombrero.
You didn't know you needed.
Exactly. All right, so let's get into business here, shall we? All the favorites won last week. I don't think that's going to happen this week. Let's start with Ole Miss, a 3-point favorite against the Aggies. And we'll start with Mad Dog.
Mad Dog.
You know what? This is the only game that we'll be able to, that we could possibly not push. And I'm definitely stalling because I'm not really sure how.
I kind of noticed that. Has a stall feel to it.
Yeah, this is Ole Miss. I'm going Ole Miss. Let's take the home team. Let's take the home team to do better than a field goal over A&M.
All right, that extra time allowed Jamie to have a rapid response to his pick.
Yeah, I like Ole Miss. It's 3, right? Yeah, I like Ole Miss.
-3, correct. JC.
Oh wait,
no, that's 3.5, right? Oh, that was my bad.
It's at 3. Yeah, it's at 3. We've got it up as 3 on the app.
Yes, you folks out there participate. Well, on the app, that's all that matters. It's 3.
It's good. Yeah.
I wish I had a telestrator. I could just strike that out.
That's in the budget for next year.
Oh, okay.
Right after we do the show from France.
Yeah.
JC.
I was
-3.
Man, I was sitting there thinking about taking A&M, even though I was woefully
Are you yellow?
unimpressed with them last week against Carolina. Something tells me Ole Miss has got their eye on that Georgia game coming up, and you can't go relax against the Aggies. Man, it's tough. I'm gonna go with Ole Miss too, though, because this is one of those where I'm overthinking it, and I'm thinking about scenarios. And A&M's offensive line is not that good, so the Ole Miss defense will play well at home. And Ole Miss is very, very competent, obviously, on offense, and I think they'll get enough. So they'll be man enough, the Ole Miss Rebels.
I'm going to make it unanimous. Ole Miss -3. Somebody knows something, and I get it. A&M, physically speaking, can more than handle their own against Ole Miss. In fact, that could be an edge for them. But I think Ole Miss is in a groove right now. Lane is in a groove.
Yeah.
Jackson Dart is in a groove. Judkins is in a groove. I'm going Ole Miss.
This would be their 3rd win in a row, by the way, over A&M.
That's how coaches get fired, isn't it?
The road has not been kind this year to Texas A&M.
No, it is not. It certainly has not. Notre Dame is a 3-point favorite at Clemson. Jamie.
Notre Dame. Sam Hartman picks Clemson's defense apart. He'll do it again. Notre Dame wins.
JC.
I'm going to have to go with the Irish because I like my house.
And I like JC's house, too.
I think, what's my man in Spartanburg again? What's his name?
Tyler.
Tyler.
Week for Tyler.
I think Tyler lit a fuse. I think Tyler has inspired Dabo's team to play better football. And quite honestly, I'm not entirely sold on Notre Dame, nor am I entirely sold on their coach. So I'll take the points. I'll take Clemson at home plus the 3.
Notre Dame or Clemson, Mike, cannot win this game without Cade Klubnik playing exceptionally well. Do you think he'll play exceptionally well?
No, but I don't agree with your premise. I don't think he has to.
But you're wrong.
Well, right. Of course I am. I was 1-4 last week.
So was I.
Yeah, that's true. We're both wrong.
That's right.
The answer is none of the above. No, I don't expect Klubnik and those kind of random mediocre receivers to go off. I think Clemson will play good enough. Will amp it up defensively. And so much of this game for me is really an intangible play as more than an X's and O play. I think if Clemson loses this game and they fall to 4-5, there's going to be an aftermath there that I think will last for longer than like 1 week. Just my thoughts on it.
Well, this would be the first true. It sounds ridiculous, but this would be the first true season-changing, like, we're not that good type of adversity they faced in 14 years, 2010.
Yeah.
Not that they haven't faced adversity. They have faced, every team faces adversity at some point in time. I mean, they'd be under 500 going, yeah, we're just not that good. Like, you can't sell us that we're 3 touchdowns away from undefeated crap anymore. Like, we're just not that good.
Well, here's the number. Here's a power number in the power hour. If they lose this game, that's 5 losses on the season. It wasn't that long ago. Dabo and Clemson went 5 years with 5 combined losses. Think about that.
Yeah. Shipley is in concussion protocol, though.
That exactly.
That's their best player on offense.
Yeah,
is he
I was
out?
Just about to mention that.
He's not out, not necessarily out.
They say he's playing, but
Dabo was like, Dabo. Yeah, I'm talking about.
Dabo said yesterday he heard he's been cleared. He said, but I leave that up to them. I'm telling you, this is going to be, in my opinion, this is on Cade Klubnik's shoulders. This game is. He has to play really well. I just don't think it's. I don't think. It's
Notre Dame's good on defense, and I mean, Notre Dame did have some unfortunate injury. Their tight ends out for the year, ACL, I think, or ankle broken or something.
They better hope
he was
rains.
a weapon. So, well, you got to bring your own guts if it rains.
BYOG.
I was going to say BYOG, right?
Bring your own guts. Woo!
This is their first BYOG since their last BYOG in 2015.
Yeah, Clemson could easily win this game. It's not out of the question that Notre Dame.
You guys are killing me. I mean, I'm just picking them to cover 3, and you're talking me out of this thing here. Can I also say one other thing on Clemson? With all the portal is not the only thing that's going on there. Like, I don't think that's going to solve everything when Dabo does a 180 on the portal. The staff is not what it used to be, and as everybody can attest, you don't just replace that. Like, Venables don't just grow on trees, and he was there a long time. The offensive coordinators had continuity. And the other thing is, like, correct me if I'm wrong, JC, I mean, they're still bringing in big-time recruits, but you don't just get a generational – the 2 titles came with generational quarterbacks. Deshaun Watson – and Trevor Lawrence. Like, you can have top 10 recruiting classes the next 20 years at Clemson and not have those type of talented individuals at that position. So when you add all that up, it's not just the portal. Like, there's a lot of things that have gone into Clemson falling off that high horse, and I'm not sure if they're getting back on it anytime soon.
Well, yeah.
Yep.
Go ahead,
JC.
Not all recruiting rankings are created equal. It's
Right.
it's a 60%. It's just like the draft. I mean, they're like 60% accurate. So, you know, they've had some guys that have been highly rated that frankly have not panned out. You know, I do believe they continue to recruit at a very high level of defense. I think offensively, that's kind of that's where they've missed on some guys, especially at receiver. I like the two. I like Maffa and Shipley just fine. Are they as good as Travis Etienne? No. The offensive line continues to be a mystery there. Not very good most years. Really wasn't all that great when they were winning national titles either. And then receiver has gone from, you know, people were calling him wide receiver U. Yeah, they got into an argument with Tennessee about that. And now, I mean, there's a bunch of average guys. South Carolina's receivers, when they're healthy, are 10 times better than Clemson's.
In Power 5 games this year against teams not named Syracuse, Clemson's offense averages 17 points per game.
No, they haven't been good. They haven't been good. And again, you know, that's not Dabo's thing. He's not a play caller. So it's not like he can step into that room and rectify it with something he's done in the past. That's never been his thing.
They got Garrett Riley. I mean,
they got Garrett Riley,
you know,
but they don't, you know.
You think they'd rather have Dowell Loggins?
I don't know. That's hard to say.
I think Loggins has done a hell of a job.
I think he does too, man.
People that are criticizing him, like, I don't know what game you're watching.
He's coaching his butt.
He's got two hands tied behind his back with injuries, no offensive line. You lose your top receiver, and then the other one's banged up, and you're still sitting there at times putting points on the board and moving the ball. That's not the issue. The issue's on the other side.
Keep in mind, their 3 top receivers have been hurt. Amarian Brown, Xavier Legette, and Vasquez.
Yeah. All right, we got to get the pick from Phil. Phil, you've had an hour to think about this. Who do you like?
Notre Dame.
Notre Dame. All right, so we got I'm on an island on that one. That's okay.
All right.
I expected that.
I'll save analysis for tomorrow on that one.
Okay, fair enough. Bedlam could be the last time we get this, which would be a shame. Oklahoma, 6-point favorite against Oklahoma State. JC, batting leadoff.
Give me the 6 and the Cowpokes at home. I don't think they're going to win. I think they're going to cover, though, and it's going to be like the last time Texas played Texas A&M when the Horns kicked the walk-off field goal, and the announcer said it's goodbye to A&M because, you know, that's in their fight song, and that was classic. I think it's going to end like that because Oklahoma's dominated this series. Oklahoma State's done a great job turning their season around, recovering from a 33-7 home loss to South Alabama. They're running the ball. It's in Stillwater. That's a loud place. But I just think in this series, man, OU owns them so much. It's just fitting that it ends with the Sooners walking them off right there on their home field, which is sadistic, but probably true in most cases when you cover college football for a while.
But you're taking the points? Or you're laying
I'm taking the points. I'm taking the points, but I'm saying Oklahoma will win the game late by the slimmest of margins.
Okay, got it. I'm with you. Actually, I'm a man, and I'll take 6 points. I'm gonna go ahead and take the 6, even if Oklahoma wins it. I think the mullet. JC and I on the JC and Morgan show Monday in the boss segment highlighted, and I just forgot his name, of course, Oklahoma State's bruising tailback who is already over 1,000
Ollie
yards.
Gordon.
There you go.
Ollie Gordon.
Is it Ollie Gordon the second or just Ollie Gordon?
Doesn't
matter.
I just call him.
We just call him Ollie. Yeah, like that's there. I know they had Chubba Howard, Chubba Hubbard. They had Chubba. But this is a more physical local. Like when I think of Gundy's teams, I think of like a good quarterback. You know, almost like fringe NFL guy that can throw the ball. They've had some good wideouts there over the years. This team is kind of counter to that, and that might be what they need to be against Oklahoma. So I'll take the 6. Jamie.
I've got Oklahoma State winning the game. So
okay,
they've got it going. I like their offense. I like where they are, and they always have a good running back up there. Always, every year it seems like there's 1,000-yard or more rusher. It's a great, very underrated school for running backs in its history. Keep in mind Thurman Thomas played there. Of course, Barry Sanders played there. Oklahoma State. I like them, and they got a chance to get into the to really ruin this whole Big 12 fantasy of having Oklahoma and Texas rematch in the Big 12 championship. Oklahoma State can put an end to that this weekend.
And yes, Sonder, it is Chuba, not to be pedantic. Good use of the word pedantic.
Chuba Duba. I think it's Chuba Duba.
Chuba Duba.
Yeah.
Chumbawamba?
Chuba.
I get knocked down.
Chuba. I like saying Chuba better than Chuba. Either way, Oklahoma State plus the 6 is what I'm taking, what Jamie's taking, what JC's taking. Mad Dog, what are you taking?
I'm with you, fellers. I think Oklahoma wins, but yeah, give me the points. Although JB thinks it's outright win, but yeah, no, give me the points.
First ever use of the word fellers on the Salsarita's Fab Five Challenge, if you're scoring at home. Game of the week, Saturday night, Bama, -3 against LSU. Mad Dog, we'll start with you.
Oh, give me Bama.
Yeah. Bama. Jamie.
I think LSU is going to win the game. I don't think Alabama can score enough points. And so I think LSU, of course, will cover, and that means they'll win.
JC.
Well, we're going to see how much better Bama has gotten since the Texas game, because it's that similar type matchup. LSU's got weapons all over the field. Daniels is an outstanding quarterback, best in the country for my money, just to be perfectly honest with everybody. I actually like him better than Caleb Williams and what Caleb's done this year. But we're going to find out. My sneaky suspicion, based on what happened last week or 2 weeks ago in Tuscaloosa against Tennessee, is they figured some things out. And I think the Tide rolls at home. Brian Kelly denied a second straight win over the GOAT.
I'm anguishing over this. This is where hubris comes into play because, as JC can attest, all offseason I said LSU was the pick in the West. And yes, I did predict going back to July that LSU would win this game. So if I stay with my stubbornness and my hubris and just to say that I was right all along, then I would stay with LSU. What I was wrong about, and I don't mind telling you, sometimes I miss. LSU's defense is not LSU. I don't know what happened. I don't understand it. They've got athletes galore, but they don't play great D. And that was part of the reason why I thought they would win this game and win the West. And they still might because of the Daniels factor, and they can score. But Alabama is playing at a whole other level right now. And I'm going to take Alabama's salty defense and Milroe making just enough plays where Alabama wins the game. So I guess we're split on that. That's good. That's good entertainment when the four of us are split on our picks. Let's see if the four of us are split on this. The fifth pick, which always has to do with a Gamecock game, little prop action here. Over under receiving yards for Mr. Harbor, 49.5. 49 in the hook for the Harb man. Jamie, you lead us off.
Way over.
Way over, he says.
Big week.
Big week. 5-star recruit equals 5-star yardage. JC, do you agree? Do you concur?
I'm going over with him just because, they throw him the ball. They throw it to him downfield. So it'll take him, 3 catches to get past 50 on average.
It's going to take him one catch.
What he's doing. I've been impressed with the way he catches the ball. He takes care of business. He takes care of agenda item number 1. And I like receivers that do that because I know the athleticism and speed and ability to break tackles and the breakaway stuff. That's all going to come because he's such a great athlete. But I appreciate the fact, not the most natural pass catcher, but he works at it. And I think he's been targeted 11 times and caught 10 this year. 1 drop the whole season. If you'd have told me that, over under on Nick Harbor drops, I'd probably said he had 4 or 5 just because it's a new position. But he's held onto the ball, man, and he's just going to get better and better. So I'm going over.
I think he's got a chance to be a stud. I liked what I saw in the A&M game after the drop. But I'll go under. If this game goes the way Carolina fans hope, then you might not see a whole lot of Harbor in the latter stages of this game.
I
the
think
way
you'll
they've
see
had
more of them if they do, if it goes that way. Personally.
Well, I understand that theory. I mean, my thing is, with all the other injuries, I almost want to put them in bubble wrap and keep them fresh for the rest of the year. But I mean, I could see it going both ways. You could take the approach of, hey, this is a chance for him to get more reps and continue to advance. But I'll take the under. I'll go ahead and take the 49.5. Let's say he catches 3 balls for 47. What do you think, Mad Dog?
I'm going over. I think he's the one receiver that you're going to have out there and healthy that you can count on to play in the second half, regardless of the game, the way things are going. If you're up big, I think you still have him in there because he's your most sure-handed receiver. You pull Xavier Legette out, and he's damn sure going to be in there if it's tight. So give me over.
All right. By the way, for those participating on the Chief Sports app, you will have to also add a tiebreaker, which is total passing yards for one Spencer Rattler. We haven't done that one since week 1.
700.
For the rest of the year, I'll go with that.
700. No, in this game, 700.
690.
Well, if the game goes the way you think it's going to go, Jamie, he ain't playing in the fourth
Yeah,
quarter.
that's right. Yeah, he might have 150 and be out.
Lenore Sellers time.
That's what I'm saying. You'll hear Sellers to Harbor on the touchdown, and people will get a glimpse of 2024, 2025, that type of stuff.
Okay. I'll go with that.
Funny, you were there too, Jamie, when we saw the place go nuts when the goggles hit the field. It'd be fun to see that again.
Mike, you love quarterbacks, man. You got to watch this kid. You got to.
Well, I saw him get in the game late. Which game was that? Yeah, Furman game. Oh, I mean, he's got plenty of juice.
You're gonna like this guy.
Yeah, no, he's got plenty. Look, it's nice to see Carolina bringing in that level of quarterback. I mean,
well, they got a little fortunate with him because he was hurt his junior year and blew up his senior year, so they flipped him from Syracuse. He's a South Florence kid, but every talent evaluator I know in the country told me that had he been not hurt his junior year, he'd have had everybody in the country would have won it. So
yeah,
just you just wait, man. I can't wait for you to. I hope he gets to play Saturday. I hope you get to watch him.
I will be watching either live or on the old DVR, the old TiVo. Remember when TiVo was a thing?
Oh,
TiVo was way ahead of its time. I hope the creators of that made some money. I'm watching the Netflix series on the guy who invented Uber. Fascinating. It's called Super Pumped. If you're looking for a good watch, you folks out there. And again, if you're looking for great food, the fine folks, Suki. Say hello to Suki at the South End Zone at Williams-Brice on Saturday. That catering hotline, by the way, 803-543-6297. We can send the mariachi band home. 803-543-62. Thank you, boys. Great job. 543-6297. Multiple locations in Columbia and Lexington and the Target Center, Columbia, across the from the medical center. Kids eat free on Monday. Catering made easy. And I mean really, really easy. So don't just settle for the same old sandwiches and steroid-induced chicken wings. Give Suki a call at Salsaritas at 803-543-6297.
And you might not want to be waiting until Saturday to enjoy that if you plan to enjoy.
That's a great point.
Some tonight. It's a good slate of Thursday night college football.
Yeah.
TCU and Texas Tech at 3 o'clock or 3 o'clock at 7 o'clock. On Fox Sports 1, Texas Tech is a 3-point favorite there. Wake is at Duke. We'll see what Riley Leonard looks like from a health standpoint. 7:30 on ESPN. That's an important game for Duke. They win it, they're going bowling. They are a touchdown favorite. And then Troy and South Alabama is a sneaky good game at 7:30 on ESPN2 tonight from Troy, the new home of one Skylar Meade, who is the head coach of the Trojans, and they are really, really good. Tomorrow night, by the way, Boston College at Syracuse. Dino Babers is pretty much always coaching for his job. He's also coaching for their first ACC win of the year. But the real one tomorrow night, this is just it's just hate. It's called the War at War Memorial Stadium, Wyoming, Colorado State, only separated by about an hour in an interstate. And it is, dude, you know what? I'm serious. That is
Laramie meets Fort Collins.
Hey, that's a crazy football rivalry. They don't like each other. It's neat. It's neat. I'm being serious. It's
Bucket
really
hats
neat to
and
see it.
weed.
Yeah, well, the bucket hats would they kick all those weed smoking boys' asses down there. The Colorado State guys, they show up looking for a fight. They leave wishing they
Cowboy
weren't.
boots and CBD, plenty of it.
Yeah, it's a neat. I've been to both stadiums, and it's a neat little rivalry. So, 8 o'clock tomorrow night.
Look forward to that.
So it's really only an hour from Laramie to Fort Collins?
About an hour. Yep, that's it.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, it's a neat and easy drive. A little snowy this time of the year. Definitely pretty.
It'd be chilly.
I'd have to wear like actual jeans under my chaps.
Yeah, they're in Laramie tomorrow night. So
Wyoming, man, you got to have some assless chaps in Wyoming. You live in Wyoming,
when we were out there
Colorado.
for Christmas a few years ago, it was the high was -2.
Jeez,
that was the high, and the wind was blowing 20 miles an hour.
That's the thing that destroys that spring football for the FCS too.
Yep.
Because Montana's not having February kickoffs.
No chance. No chance.
Oh, shoot it! They're playing. It's like summer tomorrow out there. The low tomorrow night, only 33. That's nothing.
Oh, this is my favorite song.
Yeah, this is the song where I usually start beating my chest and accidentally hit the guy in front of me if he's at the Chief concert.
No, awesome.
Shouldn't have been standing there.
Well, gentlemen, this was fun.
Enjoyed it, guys.
Yeah, man.
Per usual.
Thanks to the Golden Tones. Thanks to our friend Perry Orth joining us at the top of the show. Flint's here tomorrow, and our guest picker, Gamecocks coming up on Saturday. Served by Chicken Cock Whiskey and always live from the Sinorama Studios. Thanks, Mike, JC, and Phil. We'll see y'all tomorrow at 11 on Inside the Gamecocks, the show.